Possible it might be a championship venue this season for Everton when they were facing that battle against relegation last season, but they survived, as we know, so it is still Premier League football for what, remember, is their penultimate season playing here at Goodison Park before the move to the new stadium. And the opponents are Chelsea, third in the Premier League last season, spent an awful lot of money during the summer under their new ownership. So this is the first competitive match for Chelsea with a new name above the door. The Roman Abramovich years are history now, and there is down there on the pitch Raheem Sterling dancing around from foot to foot, very much an image of the new Chelsea, making his Premier League debut, just about ready for kick-off here. Everton's team, big question over who's going to play up front, with Richarlison sold and Calvert-Lewin injured and Rondon suspended. Well, we'll see. Might well be Damari Gray, but Anthony Gordon, Dwight McNeil, Alex Iwobi all in the team. Three central defenders, Tarkowski, Mina and Godfrey. Nathan Patterson and Mikalenko, the full-backs. Doucouré in the middle of midfield, and Jordan Pickford in goal is the captain. And all of the players down there are on the knee for the first matches of the season, and it is Chelsea who get us underway here. The 5:30 Premier League kick-off is back on 5 Live on a Saturday afternoon. Everton in the blue shirts with the white trim, white shorts and white socks, and Everton in the mainly white, and Chelsea in the mainly white away kit with the light blue hoops, and Everton winning the ball back deep inside their own half. It's played forward by Patterson. Now here's a ball to debutant McNeil on the right hand side. Frank Lampard claiming that he was tripped there by Koulibaly, and referee Craig Pawson agrees. Free kick to Everton. Pat Nevin.
The first question to be answered is the blonde-haired Anthony Gordon will be centre forward at the moment.
Freshly blonde rinsed.
Yes, very blonde, not strawberry blonde, blonde.
So Gordon it is for the time being. Gray with the ball on the right. Dele Alli, there was a bit of talk this week that it would be him. Did score goals in pre-season, but he's only on the substitutes bench. I'll run you through the Chelsea side in a moment, but Everton with this free kick, which Damari Gray is going to take, but it's cleared away, comfortably cleared away by Reece James. Back out to the right-hand side. Gray drifting infield, little pass square to Doucouré, and then Iwobi, who is playing in the deeper lying position, as Pat suggested he might be, to Mikalenko on the left-hand side. Mikalenko then goes back towards the halfway line, and Everton will go all the way back into their own half. So the Chelsea side, Pat, Mendy in goal, Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva and Koulibaly, Reece James and Ben Chilwell, Jorginho and Kante, Mount, Sterling and Kai Havertz.
Yep, there's a lot of creativity in that team. Interesting to see the way they have lined up there. You know, asking the question who would play up front through the middle for Everton. You can ask the same question about Chelsea as well. Quite capable of Kai Havertz doing that, but at the moment it looks a little bit like Raheem Sterling's most central but deeper lying. Yeah,
here is Gordon, who's now on the right hand side, playing the ball forward towards Patterson. Now McNeil onto his left foot, deep cross from him to the back post, and a stretching head out was Doucouré, who was in there. He was sandwiched between two Chelsea players and could only have the ball 4 or 5 yards down, bouncing wide beyond the far post. So it is a goal kick to Chelsea. Everton 0, Chelsea 0. It is slightly different for this season, so if you have just joined us, if you've just got back into your car, if you've been to a match this afternoon, wherever it is up and down the country, the 5:30 Premier League kickoff for the foreseeable future, certainly for the next 3 years, is here on BBC Radio 5 Live. And once we are finished, Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton will take over with 6:06. Round about 7:30, the new time for 6:06 on a Saturday night. And we will have more reaction, more interviews, more players and managers at half-time when we round up again all of the afternoon's action. But it is Chelsea walking the ball towards the halfway line. Koulibaly now. N'Golo Kante drops deep. Kante again passes the ball out towards the right-hand side. Chelsea attacking towards the Gladys Street end, the Howard Kendall Gladys Street end to our left. Place is absolutely packed, I must say, and this Chelsea move breaks down, comes to absolutely nothing. Out of play for a throw into Everton, halfway inside their own half over there.
It's interesting to see the way Everton have lined up. I mean, they're not going to be ultra negative, but Godfrey, Tarkowski and Mina are going to be a back three, and that is a tough back three to get through. I mean, you're looking at the problems that Everton have got. I think defensively they're okay. I think defensively it's not a massive problem as long as they can keep most of their players fit. It's the creative bit, a little bit in front of that has been the real concern for Everton fans, and we'll see if they can do anything today.
Chelsea lift one through the middle, but that's cleared away by Tarkowski. James Tarkowski, the England international, relegated with Burnley last season. He's playing as the left-sided central defender, Mina in the middle and Godfrey on the right. Everton coming forward. Here's Patterson on the right-hand side, the Scotland international, the former Rangers man. Patterson to Iwobi. Iwobi quickly moves it. Warm applause for that to Mykolenko on the left-hand side. Gray now cutting in from the left flank. Gray, who is being shepherded away from the danger area by Azpilicueta. Comes back to Gray again on the left-hand side. And then Gray finds Iwobi. Iwobi with the long hair tied up in the ponytail, flopping about down the back of his neck. Now Patterson on the right-hand side. Frank Lampard down there. Thomas Tuchel just a few yards away from him, the man who replaced him as the Chelsea manager. The ball bounces out of play, groans because it's been given by referee Craig Pawson as a throw-in to Chelsea. Craig Pawson, the FA Cup final referee last season, you might remember, and was refereeing the Community Shield last weekend.
And we will see if he referees a game in the same way as the game was refereed last night with Arsenal, you know.
Yes, that met with your favour, didn't it?
Certainly did. Well, you know, the diving, throwing themselves to the ground, you know, absolutely weren't going for that. The referee wasn't going for that, the referee in that game, and I would applaud that. If it's a foul, it's a foul, but it's been too easy to win fouls for a few years in the Premier League.
Yeah, that's Pat Nevin, Scotland international, foot in both camps, having played for both Everton and Chelsea. Here is Kante, now up towards Sterling, who went down rather easily, and James Tarkowski wasn't impressed with that, but referee Pawson says foul. There was enough force there in the challenge. Free kick to Chelsea out on the right-hand side.
Just hoping the referee's got the memo. It did go down slightly easy there, but maybe just imbalance it was. He was shoved over there. He was going away for the ball. There was no need to make that challenge. Sterling wasn't in a dangerous position. However, Chelsea now are in a dangerous position from this free kick.
Everton, who conceded more goals from set pieces in the Premier League last season than any other team, 22 goals. Chelsea's first set piece against them in the Premier League this season, 5 minutes on the clock. And it looks as though it's going to be James to play it in. It is towards the penalty spot. Oh, and it got a deflection. Yeah, there were a whole group of players in there, but it was straight at Pickford, who was able to collect it quite comfortably. Was it Koulibaly?
It could have been him, but I think Havertz was very close to that as well. Both of them were attacking it. You know, it's one of those ones that is a beautifully flighted ball, and Reece James is absolutely phenomenal. That keeper can't come close to it. I think you might have got the call right there about being Koulibaly. Big player. Well, I've seen it 3 times now and I still can't tell you who it was.
Might have been a defender.
Yeah, so but that's what, you know, happens when you've got a player that can put the ball in the sixpence the way that Reece James can. He was massively missed alongside Chilwell last season for a long part of the season, and one of the reasons why Chelsea really weren't in contention.
Yeah, great to see Chilwell back in World Cup season. This is his first competitive appearance since last November because of the knee injury. Sterling now trying to find a way through on the edge of the area, but in came 2 Everton men. Iwobi centrally, Godfrey, and the ball just bounced away through to Captain Pickford. Pat, who'd have thought Jordan Pickford, a Premier League captain?
You know, it's incredible because always have been questions. I mean, he's a good goalkeeper, a very good goalkeeper, but there are erratic moments in his game. But you know, if he's a big personality in the group, in the squad, you know, and people do listen to him, that's important. But there's a whole lot of players right in front of him that would have a shout for that as well, including all 3 centre-backs.
Yeah, Seamus Coleman's injured at the moment, although he did actually play for the under-21s last night, so he's not far from coming back. But Jordan Pickford, who was inspirational in the latter stages of last season, not least in the game here against Chelsea when Everton won 1-0, and that was absolutely crucial for them. It was something of a springboard which led to them finishing 4 points above the relegation zone in the end. Here's Kante out to the right-hand side for Chelsea, who are attacking from right to left. As we look here in this bright sunshine, Everton win the ball back, but then Chelsea are quickly onto that, and the ball is back towards the halfway line where the 37-year-old Thiago Silva is there. Contract again until the end of this season. Sterling, right-footed ball right across the pitch. Mykolenko got ahead to that, but it bounces down for Chelsea. And now Azpilicueta just signed a new contract himself. There's an awful lot of Barcelona talk, but it's a 2-year contract for him, the 32-year-old, 33 this month. Ball comes back for Chelsea on the edge of the box. That was a high foot from Patterson there, as it was challenged for by Havertz, but he got the ball cleanly, and referee Pawson has allowed that to go, and Everton have got it back.
I think Frank Lampard will be delighted with the start this team has made to this game. They've not been under too much pressure. Maybe one free kick there that was given away unnecessarily, but there's been a real confidence, a real bite about them in the midfield. They've held the ball well. They've probably had slightly more of the ball in the opposition half than Chelsea. And from Thomas Tuchel's point of view, he was complaining a few games pre-season that there was a bit of sluggishness about that Chelsea team, and well, they haven't started in a sparkling way so far.
No, Everton 0, Chelsea 0. That was a pass back to Pickford, who's going to do well to keep that in. Well, he has kept it in, and he's given it to Havertz, and Havertz now! In came the challenge from Godfrey. That was crucial. Havertz really was a little slow on the uptake there, I felt, because Pickford, I must say, I thought the ball was out.
So did I have to say. The ball went down there,
scrambling to it, cleared it away. It did look as though it was over the line before he cleared it away, and he hit it straight to Havertz. And then in the aftermath of that, Godfrey has ended up injuring himself trying to put that challenge in on
I'm pretty convinced that
Havertz.
was out. I'm pretty convinced it was out anyway. I mean, the referee's going to give a corner kick one way or the other, but Havertz went in with Godfrey there. I mean, both players can go for it, but I think Havertz has come off the worst. Well, no, he's not. Godfrey's still down.
Godfrey, yeah, no,
Godfrey's still down, yeah. And he's in quite a lot of pain there.
Yeah. We've actually got such a wide range of pictures here in front of us because the analysts sit in front of us, so they're having a look at this challenge that Godfrey put in. So we've got that on one screen. That was a crunching challenge by Godfrey on Havertz.
Clean as a whistle, I think.
Excellent
it was
challenge.
A really good tackle. I'm trying to see if there was a possible penalty kick there, but Havertz maybe just, as you say, waited a little bit too long on the ball there.
Yeah.
Tackle was made. Havertz has got up.
Yeah, I think he was perhaps as surprised as anyone that play was allowed to continue, because it did look as though the ball was over the line. But we've got a stoppage here, and Godfrey is still receiving treatment. Havertz landed on top of him after he came in at pace on the edge of the 6-yard box, the outside line of the 6-yard box, and the stretcher is there as well now. So this is, there's never a good time, of course, to pick up an injury, a nasty injury, but in the first 15 minutes of a new season,
I just wonder if he rolled over on his ankle there when he's gone in. And as you say, the possibility on top of that Havertz might have landed on him, but the way they're treating him down there, it looks as if he'll be quite unlikely to carry on this game.
Yeah. So what an untimely blow that is for Ben Godfrey, who has played for England. I'm sure he'll have ambitions. If Everton can make a good start, that he might be able to have forced his way into that England squad. So we'll just have to see how things go with him. But it looks as though Everton are preparing a change, certainly, and it looks as though that's it for the first match, the first Premier League match of the new season for Ben Godfrey. And that stretcher, the inside part of the stretcher is being prepared, so they're going to lift him onto that. None of this is a good sign.
No, it's not a good sign. It's for anyone who's listening, it's not a head knock or something like that. It's an injury. It would appear to be to some part of his leg, maybe his ankle, his knee. It was an incredibly strong challenge, but I thought it was a very fair challenge as well. He had to make it. It was slightly desperate. Havertz is saying, trying to show to the referee that he thought there was a foul involved there, but I'm not convinced of that. I think it was a good tackle.
Yeah. So he is now, all of the medical people are there, fluorescent yellow jackets, and also the club medical staff are still leading over Ben Godfrey, and he is receiving lengthy treatment. And
Holgate's ready, isn't he?
Yeah, Mason Holgate has been fully briefed and is preparing to come on to replace Ben Godfrey. As I say, this is all in the virtually the first 10 minutes of Everton's season. I think round about 10 minutes had gone when he picked up that injury.
I was talking to some of the Everton fans, the fans went behind the ground at the start of the game, and I said, look, Everton, as long as they keep everybody fit, they've got a good, strong looking defence. That's lasted 10 minutes. It's a real shame that. It's one of those ones, half of his body's actually on the line. He could roll off the pitch or be moved off the pitch, and you would do that unless it was a serious injury, and they're not doing it. So it does seem as if it's, I mean, he's leaning up and he's talking away, but
yeah, they're giving him oxygen. Pat. I know that some of the pictures we can see that he is being given oxygen, which I think is routine practice now. With a bad injury. So it's some part, you reckon, possibly ankle, maybe. It's very difficult to tell.
More often than not, I mean, to be honest, in these times you snap a cruciate, but that's unusual unless you've got a foot planted. You might have hyperextended. The most common thing is, you know, a twist or an overextension on an ankle or something, but it's pure supposition now. We haven't seen replays, and I'll be honest with you, in those types of injuries, I don't want to see any replay.
That's right. We've seen the analysts' pictures. That's all that we've seen on the pictures that'll be going out all around the country, all around the world. They've not shown those replays as far as I've noticed. So still Ben Godfrey receives treatment, and the Chelsea players, I noticed, they're just knocking the ball around. Edouard Mendy's come into the centre circle, and they're just trying to keep themselves right. And one or two are having a chat there. Koulibaly and Yerry Mina are having a good chat together on the edge of the penalty area. It's all arms around. It's all very friendly. That Mina's putting his arm around his shoulders. They're having a right chortle.
We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah,
when the game starts again. It's I mean, it's the one positive thing about this. I mean, the medical teams are all over there. You know, he's not sitting up, Godfrey, but you know, he is kind of leaning up on his elbows, and he's talking to the physios, etc. So. But he definitely will be stretchered off.
Yes, he will. He's, you know, we can see his arms moving now. Just one of the medical staff move away, and he's lying on his back. His left knee is bent with his foot on the ground, and the Gladys Street end over the advertising hoardings applauding now because that orange stretcher is being just moved underneath him. He's been placed onto the inside board, and now he's been lifted onto that orange stretcher, and this is really have to feel for this young man, 24 years old.
There was periods of time, John, he was the best player for Everton. You know, certainly the best player, best defender. For good periods of time when he's been fit. He's been a class act. It hasn't really been, you know, you can play him at left back, you can play at left centre back, right centre back, right back, even anywhere, and he's often been the best player on the team. So I mean, it's bad for anybody to go off, but that's a huge moment for Everton, and maybe even this early part of the season.
Yeah. Well, he is now on the stretcher. They've still not moved it away. Everton are just waiting to make this substitution as well. Still, the stretcher is not being moved, and even though Ben Godfrey is sitting on there, Craig Pawson's gone across there now, and it's just indicating, I think play will resume with a corner to Chelsea.
I think what he's indicating is going to be taken straight towards the ambulances in the corner,
as opposed to being brought over to this side of the field. Yeah, he was just making sure of that. He was pointing down to that corner. So that is the end over to our right on the far side of the field, in between the Bullens Road stand and the Park stand. And that indeed is where the stretcher is going, carrying Ben Godfrey, after he himself put in a really fine defender's tackle on Kai Havertz, but somehow in the process of that has injured himself. It looks like an injury to certainly a lower part of his body, a leg injury, ankle perhaps, and he is being replaced now with 17 minutes on the clock. So I think that has all taken 7-8 minutes or so. So into the action to replace him comes Mason Holgate. And it is a corner to Chelsea after that long stoppage. 0-0, Everton 0, Chelsea 0 in this 5:30 kickoff. BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds if you're on the move. Reece James to take the corner for Chelsea, which he lifts into the near post, and it's headed away, and immediately it is Mason Holgate on the end of that for his first touch of the match to head it, bouncing into the hoardings in front of the Gladys Street end for a second consecutive Chelsea corner. James ready again, raises his left arm, and then it goes another near post delivery, and this time it's Patterson, who comes across and heads it straight behind for a third consecutive Chelsea corner.
Well, surely he can't hit the first man again, Reece James. He's taking it short.
Well, he definitely won't, because he's taking it short to Sterling, and now it's back to the edge of the box where the low shot is driven in by Mount, and the rebound is cleared away by a scrambling Holgate. Sterling was in there as well. I wasn't sure whether the final touch was off Sterling or whether it was off Holgate. Referee Pawson says it was off the Everton man, so it is almost a fourth consecutive Chelsea corner. Won't be a short one this time. James takes it in, again the near post, again it's an Everton man whose head is there, Holgate. Fifth consecutive corner coming up.
I think they've been working in that near post corner just a little bit. It's actually hard. That particular corner is one of the most difficult ones to take a corner for in the league, because you are running from an angle, and it's really, you don't get any great run up to it.
Again, Jamestown with his fifth consecutive corner, which is hit towards the back post, but overhit beyond everyone, bounces through harmlessly. Goal kick, Everton still 0-0.
There wasn't one good corner there out of the five, was there? Not one good delivery. I mean, near post, but each one of them didn't beat the first man, and then the fifth one that goes right over the top. So, as I say, not the best place to take corner kicks on in the Premier League at the moment, but even so, we should do a bit better than that, especially on the quality that Reece James has got.
That's Pat Nevin. This is 5 Live. Everton 0, Chelsea 0, and Jordan Pickford is ready to take this goal kick. So Everton with McNeil and Tarkowski in the team making their debuts. Vinagre, the former Wolves man, the Portuguese, is on the bench. Here's Iwobi with a little pass forward, but Jorginho on the edge of his own penalty area chips it away. But then in steps Tarkowski, and Everton come again with Gray on the left hand side. Gray's right-footed ball whipped in. Gordon was after it, but it was just over his head, and Koulibaly behind him headed it away just over the top of that blonde-haired Gordon.
And many people on this ground thought if only Dominic Calvert-Lewin would have been in that 6-yard box. It was a beautiful ball. Nothing Chelsea could do really much about it, but he just couldn't get his head on at the right place. Fantastic ball, and that's the quality they've shown in this game so far. Again, and say, I think apart from those 5 corners, Everton have looked really confident, really comfortable, a real belief about the group at the moment, and that's probably the best moment of the game so far.
Yes, it is. If you just switched on, Anthony Gordon is the man who's playing furthest forward for Everton. So Gray on the left, McNeil on the right, and Gordon, the young player of the season last season, the real bright spark up front through the middle. He'll do anything for Everton. Won't have to be asked twice by Frank Lampard, I'm sure, as Azpilicueta steps in on the right hand side. Chelsea coming forward. Everton failed to clear there. Chelsea are all over them. James back to the right hand side. Azpilicueta's ball into the penalty area. The shot from the angle from Sterling, that was blocked. There are 3 men around him. I think the ball's caught up underneath Raheem Sterling, and the referee says it's a free kick to Everton. I presume a handball by Sterling.
I think he's just leant on the ball and he kept his body over the ball. The referee
pushing
said,
and shoving
danger, I don't think there's any complaints from, well, the Everton fans are not complaining, other than the fact that they feel that Raheem Sterling's gone down a little bit easily. That's harsh on Sterling there. He had 2 big, or maybe even 3 big centre-backs around him there. We've got another little bit of a look at it here. He's gone down. He's just put his body over the ball there. You can't actually play on there. It's dangerous at that point in time. He's got to roll away. It's almost like rugby. You've got to roll away.
Yeah. Everton 0, Chelsea 0. And mentioning Calvert-Lewin, that is another. Having just lost him this week, then having lost Godfrey already today with the injury that he's picked up, that has been the story for Frank Lampard and Everton.
I was going to say 2 of your best players, maybe your 2 best players. You may be your best defender and certainly your best striker. That's a really tough one for Frank Lampard to take, this early in the season, but you need to deal with it, you need to go on with it. That's why you have to have squads, and at the moment Everton squad has already been stretched, and we've, 22 minutes into the season.
Kante with a pass from centre field, but overhit that. He was looking for the almost shaven-headed Havertz through the middle, but it bounced through harmlessly to Pickford, and now Havertz has given away a free kick here on the near side in front of the main stand. Everton 0, Chelsea 0, midway through the first half. But again, if you've just switched on, we've had a lengthy stoppage for the injury to Ben Godfrey, who was stretchered off, so Mason Holgate is on to replace him. We'll round up all of the big stories from the afternoon at half-time on 5 Live. Here's Gray on the right-hand side for Everton. McNeil played it through, and Gray's done well to win a corner. There were 2 Chelsea men there. Corner to Everton, there first, from the right.
Interesting battle developing in this near-hand side here. Patterson getting forward in the right wing-back position quite a few times for Everton. He's a top player. Everton fans haven't seen the best of him. It's up against Chilwell, and it's been a good battle so far, and I think Patterson's maybe just edging it at the moment.
So it is corner from the right-hand side. Deep, Mendy comes for it, gets a touch to it, took it out to the far side, comes back in, and then the header is over the top. Coming in from Tarkowski on the edge of the 6-yard box, just above Mendy, and he sprang up and touched it over. Corner again, Tarkowski with a header.
There's a possibility that it was going over, hitting the crossbar and going over anyway, but Mendy couldn't take that chance, and it was a good save.
Closest we've come to an opening goal. Here's the corner, resulting corner, which is delivered into the near post, but Craig Parsons seen a foul in centre field by Mina, who ended up in a heap on the ground, and that is given against him for his challenge on Ben Chilwell. So it's a free kick to Chelsea.
It's not real surprised that Chilwell was marking Mina. It's not exactly the one you expected, but one of the things that Everton have still got is, those three big centre backs there, and Holgate's no slouch either. Real tall players that can attack the ball, and that height may be one of the most important things that they can use in this game, particularly from set pieces.
Jorginho turns, tries to send the ball forward, that's intercepted. Iwobi, and then Gray bounces off him. He's a little fortunate there to get it back from Mason Mount. Still Gray, Kante is in, but Kante's touch takes it over to Mikalenko on the far side. Chelsea back with it on the halfway line, 0-0 in the bright sunshine here under blue skies. Looks an absolute picture. Koulibaly in possession. He might have thought he was back near the Bay of Naples, Koulibaly, when he saw the weather here on Merseyside today. Not quite. Ball out to the right hand side, comes back to Azpilicueta, and Azpilicueta then to Jorginho through the middle now to Sterling. Sterling turns onto his left foot, gives it to the left-hand side, but Chilwell can't get there, and that's nicked away for Everton by Patterson. But then McNeil is caught in possession by Sterling. The ball bounces off the Everton man, and behind it, another corner to the visitors.
Huge game of corners, isn't it? Incredible amount of corners so far, and you get the feeling you wouldn't be surprised if the first goal comes from one of these set pieces here. But it's all about the quality of the balls in. Now, Reece James is going over. Take 6. See if he can get a good one in there.
Yeah, James again, no thought of changing the corner taker. Sterling comes across, it looks like it's a short one, it is, gives it to Sterling, the former Liverpool man. Oh, he beats Patterson with his crosses straight at the first man, Holgate, who heads it behind for another Chelsea corner, number 7 of the first half.
Lovely little bit of skill there from Raheem Sterling. It made to cross that in. It actually made Patterson look a little bit foolish in that moment there. Patterson playing with the big boys here. They make sure that you're on it for every second there. It was effortless the way Sterling went past them there.
So it's not going to be a short one this time. Reece James just steps away, and James plays it back outside the penalty area to Kante, who had an awful touch there, which just really glanced it, and suddenly Everton have forced Chelsea all the way back to goalkeeper Mendy, who clears it long downfield, and Everton deal with that quite comfortably. Patterson and Pickford.
Well, just said there been some poor corners so far for Chelsea, but that takes the biscuit. That one ended up back with their own goalkeeper within 3 touches.
The worst of the lot, not helped by Kante's lack of touch, but here he is now on the left hand side. Kante pulls it back, McNeil in with a challenge, and McNeil is able just to tap it forward, and then a drop of the shoulder from Doucouré, who will run it away, turns. McNeil is available on the right hand side, infield towards Iwobi, then to the left hand side to Mikalenko now as blue Everton shirts pull forward, his cross is deflected, Gordon with a header, but it was slightly behind him, and he got it all wrong and headed it wide by 5 yards.
During the end of last season, the noise that you've got around Goodison Park, the fans getting behind the team, and you wondered if they could keep that going, but that noise when they broke there was absolutely phenomenal. Whether they can keep it going if the team goes behind, we shall find out. Just played a short one. That Koulibaly wasn't ready for it.
Oh, Koulibaly was fortunate there, and Thiago Silva saved him, but Everton need no encouragement, and Gray is now challenged by Azpilicueta. Goes down, referee Pawson says no free kick. Azpilicueta immediately waved his hand at the referee to suggest that there was no foul in that, and the referee agreed with it.
And what it is, it's just a changing the way you're looking at the rules. Gray wasn't going to get the ball, so he put his body, he just jumped his body in front of Azpilicueta there. Last season, that is a free kick all day long. He ain't getting it this season.
Everton 0, Chelsea 0. And I know this season the watchword from the referees is a high threshold. They want to keep the game moving as much as they can, so watch out for that. 5 Live, Everton 0, Chelsea 0. More interviews and reaction from players and managers at half-time to the day's results, including Fulham 2, Liverpool 2. There's every chance that that'll be first on Match of the Day tonight. We'll hear from Scott Parker, for example, at half-time, and Steven Gerrard after Bournemouth's 2-0 win against Aston Villa. Chelsea coming forward, Havertz inside the box. It's been shielded from him by Mina, who eventually goes down and wins the free kick.
It was a slightly lighter when they got there. But Havertz has really struggled to get into the game, and he is a fabulous football player. But against that back line of Everton just now, particularly the back three, very little space in here. Really well organised up. Not just the back line. When they lose the ball in Everton, every single player is working their socks off to get behind the ball, keep tight, keep close. And you can see what Frank Lampard's tried to do. He knows he's not going to score a whole barrel load of goals at the moment. He's not an out-and-out centre forward. So he has to make sure his team's very difficult to beat and not giving away too much through that centre area. And they've given very little away so far. Everton 0, Chelsea 0. Ball over the top for Everton. That's cleared away by Thiago Silva. Comes back from McNeil on the right-hand side into the full-back position. He was challenged, it deflected away, and it's deflected away all the way to Sterling. And Sterling shoulder to shoulder with Mina. And now Iwobi comes in as well, leans into Sterling, who goes down, sent sprawling. That looked like a free kick, and referee Pawson says it is. No, that's a stick-on free kick, there's no doubt about that. Iwobi wasn't catching him there, so he's lent, and he's more than lent, he's shoved him really. He put his shoulder into his back, he's went flying. There's not even a question over that one. It's a free kick. Not convinced the Everton fans are mad keen on Raheem Sterling. No. A number of reasons for that. Yeah, Liverpool links. I think they feel that he's gone down too easily a couple of times already, even in this match. But that did look like a free kick. The referee's got that one right. Yeah, they've already had one from more or less where this is, which is out towards the right-hand side. About 2/3 of the way inside the Everton half. It's in the sunshine, that strip of sunshine on the far side of Goodison Park. Last time was the incident early in the match when I think Koulibaly perhaps got a touch, came off Doucouré as well and bounced through to Pickford. Still 0-0. But Everton have so far stood up to all of Chelsea's set pieces. Chilwell and James out there together. It is going to be James towards Koulibaly, but it was slightly behind him. And the contact, there was a defender there with him as well, took it out towards the far side, and Everton clear out near the halfway line. Half an hour played, just over actually. Still 0-0, Pat Nevin. Yep, and they've stood really strong, that Everton back line, but they have to be concentrated. Those balls will keep on coming in, and you suspect James and Chilwell eventually will start getting their range, certainly from the free kicks outside the box. James has looked much more dangerous. Just saying, the new style of multi-ball in operation there, with the balls sitting on cones all the way around the pitch. 8 balls on cones. Again, this is intended to speed things up. Here's Koulibaly. Koulibaly halfway inside the Everton half, gives it to Sterling. Sterling, who's popped up in all sorts of positions so far. Oh, lovely footwork from Sterling into Havertz. Havertz's cross is intercepted by a sliding Mina, and it's behind, and it's corner number 8 of the first half to Chelsea. Yeah, beginning to see some absolute beautiful touches for Sterling now. You know, a couple of little dummies here and there, and that was a fabulous dummy. Takes 2 players out, little slide ball through, gets to the byline, wasn't able to get the cross in. And as you say, another corner kick. Take 8. Yep. Reece James again from the left-hand side into the near post yet again. Havertz was after it, but Holgate was there. That's better. Good header though from Holgate this time to put it behind another corner. He needs to get there. If he doesn't get in the end of that, he's right behind him. I think it was Kai Havertz who's coming in, who's very good in the air. That's it, isn't it? That's what they're after. Yeah, absolutely. That's the one.
James again, left arm raised, in it goes, near post again, and it's Holgate again to put it halfway up the lower tier of the Gladys Street end. We've reached 10. Corner 10.
I mean, how many of them have been incredibly similar? You know, they've just been in the near post there. It's as if, you know, the technical people have said there's a weakness in that Everton near post. Well, I've tried it 10 times and not found it yet.
Well, here is 10. This is number 10. Corner number 10, James into the near post again. That is headed up and away by Patterson. Didn't clear the penalty area, but the header from Tarkowski did. And then Kante with an awful touch, which ballooned it up to the far side. Chelsea still in possession though. Jorginho lifts it over the top into the full-back area. Iwobi is there. Mount chasing after him. Iwobi clears, comes down for Gordon. Gordon in this front running position. We've not seen too much of him. This is more the Gordon of last season, who runs across the pitch, well, goes sprawling down, got his ankles clipped. Free kick is given, and I think the home supporters want, whether it was Koulibaly, there were two Chelsea players chasing him there, whether it was Koulibaly who clipped him or whether it was the other Chelsea player.
Well, James is close to him as well, but he's bearing down on him there. And there's a little bit of a tug, a tiny little tug. You know, I hadn't spotted it from the first angle, but there's a little bit of tug by Koulibaly there, and I think if the referee had spotted that tug, he would have reached for his card.
Pat, I mentioned it there during the course of that commentary. With Gordon playing where he is today, they are missing what he did so effectively.
You almost took the words out of my mouth.
Further back down the field.
Honestly, because you notice when he gets the ball and he turns and runs it, you know, defenders, they are scared of him. He's got great vision, he's got a decent pace as well. His balance is absolutely brilliant when he keeps it. So you do miss that, and it may well be that in parts of the game he will drop a little bit and allow somebody else, such as Demarai Gray, to play up front for just a little while, because you're right, that is missed for Everton in the midfield.
Just wonder whether Frank Lampard might have asked him to do that.
Yeah, it looks that way now. Gray is much more central now, isn't he?
Yeah, somebody's arriving in the director's box, and they're being followed by a camera crew. Oh, is this Onana? I think it might well be. This might be the new signing, Amadou Onana. I think it is, isn't it? He's a big man. Yeah, I think he is. He's just taking his seat there in the director's box. The new signing from Lille, £33.5 million. Very highly rated central defender. And yet he just gets up and I think he might be in the wrong seat, actually. Yeah, he's had to move one to his left.
I was going to say timing couldn't be better. They've lost a centre back already early in this season, but then again, they've turned up to watch a game 35 minutes in. Maybe your timing's got to be a wee bit better than
well,
that.
I think maybe in fact I've got a feeling maybe the actual deal has just got done. Whether they've just actually completed everything, because I think he was due here for a medical. So anyway, there he is. It's an exciting signing. That they're talking about Idrissa Gana Gueye as well, coming back to Everton potentially. He's well into his 30s now, Gueye, but this young man who will also play in that sort of position, although I think he can play a little bit further forward as well, will hopefully from an Everton point of view be very effective. So Amadou Onana is inside Goodison Park watching. Everton 0, Chelsea 0. Chelsea playing the ball to the left-hand side. The ball bounces out of play. The home supporters, I'm not sure the officials were absolutely certain whether that was a throw to...
I actually think the problem was it came across and Chilwell could have got to it, but he thought it had taken the deflection. So Chilwell actually tries to, shepherd it out. He's only shepherded it out for a goal kick.
Yeah.
But interestingly, for the first time in the game, right-hand side, Reece James get down the right-hand side, very, very dangerous cross in the middle, no takers, but Chilwell was at the back post. And that was one of the things at the beginning of last season when those two were playing, you often did get one wing-back to the other wing-back, and it led to quite a few goals for Chelsea.
What's the thinking, Pat? You know Chelsea very well. Ben Chilwell, just back to fitness. What's the thinking? £60 million for another left-sided defender, Mark Cucurella, who's on the substitutes bench today.
60 million sounds a lot of money for cover. He can play, Cucurella can actually play left centre back as well, so that's a possibility, but it did seem a slightly odd one, and I suppose you need depth in the squad, and it may well be that Alonso's on his way, maybe Emerson's on his way as well.
Yeah, here's Pickford out of the penalty area, long left-footed ball from the Everton captain today, Pickford, up to the edge of the penalty area. Chelsea half clear. Doucouré's onto this, plays it towards the byline to Gordon. Gordon's ball into the near post. Excellent work from Kante inside his penalty area, almost inside his own 6-yard box. Went down, came out with the ball and ran away with it. But Everton have got it back. Here is Patterson now on the right-hand side. Patterson's ball across. Gray can't take advantage. Chelsea have got it back. Still 0-0. Half-time approaching. But we will have a lot of added time because of that nasty-looking injury to Ben Godfrey. Kante's dispossessed near the centre circle, and Gordon now with a touch. Koulibaly in with a challenge. That bounces to Iwobi and back to Everton. Now Gray through the middle, but Chelsea have got it back again inside their own half.
Yeah, it's got a bit bitty, as it were, and I think that'll suit Everton quite well. You expect Chelsea, when they play at their best, to keep control of the game. You get a lot of play through Jorginho and Kante. They've actually had not that much involvement in the game. When Chelsea looked dangerous, it'd be down the right-hand side and the left-hand side, and where Everton looked dangerous is when they've been breaking.
Chelsea cross from the right-hand side. Pickford diving out, pushes it away, comes to Jorginho. Little touch from Jorginho. Then Kante. It's an Everton man gone down on the far side. Great. Come back to Reece James. Azpilicueta is there as well. Puts his foot on the ball, crosses it. Headed away by Mina just outside the 6-yard box. And then Gordon is fouled halfway inside his own half. And it's still 0-0.
The referee hasn't blown for that one, somewhat surprisingly.
No, but Chelsea are in possession again. Jorginho. Square towards Kante. Kante then squared to Azpilicueta. Kante again, best part of 30 yards out, somewhere between 25 and 30 yards out. And now on the right hand side, James puts his foot on the ball. James, little pass, then makes the sprint forward. Kante on the right hand side, the cross comes over. Doucouré is able to clear it back out to the side from where it came. Everton clear. Gordon trying to put pressure on the Chelsea defenders, but Thiago Silva just steps across.
He honestly plays better passes with his head than lots of players play with their feet. Thiago Silva, he did that deliberately. Brilliant.
And Chelsea coming down the right hand side. This is threatening. James back onto his left foot, then gives it back. Here's the cross to the edge of the penalty area, which is walloped away by substitute Holgate.
He's done another one of those brilliant passes.
Yeah, just dropped to him, just touched it away back towards the halfway line. Here, Chilwell goes down. No free kick there. He has Kante centrally. Koulibaly stretches in on McNeil. No free kick. Sterling plays it square. Mount with the shot, but that's blocked at source by a diving Tarkowski. And then Gray with an excellent turn. And Gray's away from Azpilicueta. And Gray couldn't find the pass, which would have sent Gordon through one-on-one.
Well, the temptation to say brilliant defending by Thiago Silva. He didn't sell himself, and he made the pass slightly more difficult. But he's got to make that pass. He absolutely has to. Gordon would have been one-on-one with Mendy, and he would have been an absolute favourite to go through there. So the game has opened up a little bit in the last few minutes.
It has. Everton 0, Chelsea 0. Up to that point, it's been something of a game of set pieces, and of course as well broken up by the nasty looking injury to Ben Godfrey. Half time is 4 minutes away plus added time, but maybe 8 minutes of added time because of the stoppage that we had around that injury. Everton 0, Chelsea 0. 6:06 with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton will follow us tonight. We'll keep you across the Commonwealth Games as well. Important day in the boxing. The British Open, the Women's British Open golf at Muirfield, the third round. We'll have more on that at half-time as well. But here come Everton with Holgate. Holgate's pass is beyond both Patterson and Doucouré and just runs harmlessly away through, overhit by Holgate, goal kick.
That's going to be one of the difficult things for Everton because, you know, Chelsea aren't playing at a hugely high tempo. In fact, I think Thomas Tuchel will be disappointed at the tempo they're playing at just now. They're holding the ball. If you're going to get past a packed defence, you need to move the ball quickly. But Everton are not going to lock the ball here, and they're going to get tired as the game goes on, and there will be gaps opening up.
Sterling through the middle. Iwobi makes him check back, gives it to the right-hand side to James. Mount is out there as well. James back, and a low shot, and it comes out, and it's tapped into the net by Sterling. But the offside flag is up, and he does not register his first competitive goal.
Well, I'm sure they'll check it, John.
Chelsea, not yet.
I'm sure they'll check it. To be honest, the way it happened there, I mean, I was surprised that it was offside. He's going to have a check, and he seems comfortable with it.
Kante with the shot from the edge of the penalty area that was parried by Pickford.
Yeah, he's got it right.
Yeah, Sterling was standing in an offside position as Kante hit the shot.
It wasn't great from Pickford though, to be fair. It wasn't a phenomenally hard shot, and he's batted it back right into the danger area. Look, if you're not going to catch it, you've got to put it wide, or you've got to get distance on it, and that wasn't great goalkeeping.
No, but Everton got away with it because Sterling was standing in an offside position. Everton 0, Chelsea 0. BBC Radio 5 live from Goodison Park on a summer's Saturday evening, watching Iwobi for Everton, playing it to the left-hand side to Mykolenko. Mykolenko then passed down to Damari Gray, who turns and faces Azpilicueta, and James is there as well, so he gives it back to the Ukrainian. Mykolenko, now Iwobi back to Gordon, and Gordon's into the penalty area, and he beats 2 men and then just overruns it as the final challenge comes in, I think from Koulibaly, back onto Gordon and through for a goal kick.
Well, the Chelsea fans were very, very worried about losing Rudiger. They've got Rudiger Mark too, haven't they? It was very much, a different style of player in many ways, but his tackling so far has been absolutely magnificent, Koulibaly. I have to say, if you're looking at Chelsea playing today, the two of the best players on the pitch for Chelsea have been the two newbies. I certainly think Raheem Sterling's looked great. He's growing more and more into the game, and at the back, Koulibaly's been so strong.
Everton 0, Chelsea 0. Chelsea third in the Premier League last season, and very third in the table. Best part of 20 points behind the top two, so there's that to make up. But scored third most goals in the Premier League, had the third best defensive record. Been an interesting summer though, hasn't it, with the additions so far for Chelsea under Todd Bowley?
One of the difficult things you've got if you've come in and you're a new owner of the club, there's so many things to do, and everyone thinks there's only one thing to do, get new players. There's a lot to sort out, and learning the ropes, and he'll have to do that, and the rest of the club, a lot of the people who were making decisions beforehand have actually gone at many levels of the club, so it may be difficult for them.
Ball played forward by Holgate. This is for McNeil with the run, but Chelsea are there. Koulibaly and Thiago Silva together. Koulibaly playing as the left-sided of the three central defenders. Holgate again, left-footed ball. This is high out towards the far side. Reece James is under it, but so too is Mykolenko, but his header just bounces through to goalkeeper Mendy. So still 0-0. And Todd Bowley as well, I must say, Pat, is very much in the public eye, in contrast to the previous owner, Roman Abramovich, who you barely heard a public utterance from. I think I just get the feeling he might quite like a little bit of the limelight.
He may well do, but you can get fed up with that quite quickly as well.
I bet you can. 8 minutes of added time after the Godfrey injury. Everton breaking away. Gordon on the right flank, but then in comes Chilwell as he cuts back, and Chilwell arrives. Jorginho is there as well, and it's out into the all of those heads of spectators down there. Shirt sleeve order it is at Goodison Park. Beautiful evening for it on this first weekend of the Premier League.
Yeah, it's been a brilliant atmosphere about the ground as well. Some of it was taken away by the injury, as you say, to Godfrey, but just looking at Everton just now, if they're going to get a little bit more capital at this game, they do need the wing backs to get forward a wee bit more. We're getting a little bit earlier on from Patterson and from Mykolenko, but less so the last 15-20 minutes.
Ball caught up underneath Havertz near the halfway line. Patterson put in the challenge. Yeah, Nathan Patterson, the 20-year-old Scotland international. Only one appearance for Everton in a competitive match before today. That was in the FA Cup against Boreham Wood. So this is Premier League debut. Started all of the matches pre-season for Everton, starting as the right wing back here. Good promise, Pat, would you say?
Oh, he's a stick on. He's fine. Don't worry. Certain players, you come down, you watch them in Scotland, and there's no problem. He is definitely good enough for this level. I was at that game against Boreham Wood. They get taken off at half-time. Not his fault.
Ball to the right-hand side. Mount. Now Kante back to Sterling. Right foot shot, but really mishit it, and it was easily cleared away. There were a whole group of players between him and the goal. Sterling comes back to Kante on the far side. Then back to Azpilicueta, infield to Jorginho. Well into added time, but 8 minutes of added time to play before we round up all of the events of the day for you. Sterling takes the ball on, but it comes off defender Mykolenko, and it's a corner. But this is an unusual one, this, from the 11 Chelsea have had now in the first half, in that this one is from the right-hand side. So step forward, Ben Chilwell instead of Reece James to take this set piece.
Wish your money on it being another near poster. Almost a stick on, but certainly Chilwell has been waiting a long time to get his chance to zip one in towards Pickford. I mean, if you're putting a near poster, you're obviously questioning the goalkeeper.
Yeah, just watching Havertz as well, who is going to make a run at this, and he's been held by McNeil. Here is the corner from Chilwell, which is headed away by Mina. Comes out to James though, and James actually poor first touch, but then played it into the defender, and the ball spun away wide of the goal and behind for corner 12.
Is it worth listening, telling the listener the important thing to us about these corners?
Well, we do have the famous
the pole is in front of us.
Post that holds up the roof of the main stand here, and it is at that end. So that's a challenge. James plays it in near post again. Pickford comes through, punches up in the air, and the ball loops away behind for another corner. But
what is the record in the Premier League for the amount of corners in the first half by a team? This must be close to it.
Opta will be all over that, but only, of course, in the Premier League era. There is Chilwell, might be a short corner. Sterling and Chilwell together. Gives it to Sterling. Now Sterling back to Mount. Chilwell, left-footed ball in, comes off an Everton head and then loops goalwards, and it's caught easily by Pickford. Took all the pace off it, that second deflection, and an easy catch for Pickford, who hits one of those passes downfield, but Gray was being watched by Kante, and Mendy passed it just past Gray. And that was a close run thing.
There was no need for Mendy to be there. Absolutely no need whatsoever.
Chilwell, I thought Chilwell was fouled there, but referees actually played a good advantage. Chelsea are bringing it forward. Jorginho on the halfway line. Chelsea in this this new change kit, all white with I think it's sky blue horizontal hoops on it. Chilwell on the left hand side, and the blue socks, the dark blue socks. James back to the halfway line to Koulibaly. Koulibaly, after 8 years at Napoli, great reputation there, was absolutely loved, wasn't he, by the Napoli fans. Number 26, the first man to wear number 26 for Chelsea since John Terry, and he seemingly rang and asked him if he could use the number 26. Thiago Silva playing it out to the right hand side, little ball into the penalty area, but Iwobi is there to clear it away, and he's managed to clear it away into the path of Gordon, and Gordon now down the left wing over the halfway line. Reece James has got back there and put in a very good challenge, and Chelsea are back in possession, and that came to absolutely nothing.
Well, the comfort of Reece James when he got back there, saying, yeah, go on, try, see if you can do me, and he really believed in it. Yeah. You'll be heard by the sounds what's happened again.
Like it. Sterling's down, but I think that was a free kick as well, and that was a foul by Tarkowski in the centre circle, even though Tarkowski's backed away shaking his head. Everton 0, Chelsea 0. Half-time roundup on the way. More on all of the big games this afternoon. Big win for Tottenham. Early leaders, Pat, 4-1 against Southampton. I think much fancied Tottenham.
I think both of you and I think they're a team that can do very well this season.
Yeah, good-looking squad now, and good-looking manager as well for a Premier League title push. Kante back to James. Now down the right-hand side to Kante again. Here is the cross. Near post header. Almost reaches Sterling at the back post, but was actually behind him, so he couldn't adjust quickly enough. Sterling still going, keeps his feet as the challenge came in from Patterson. Now he's here on the left-hand side, Sterling, and gives it back to Jorginho. And then Koulibaly's ball into the penalty area. Chilwell on the turn. Challenge is coming on him. The referee says penalty. Chilwell goes down. It's a penalty to Chelsea in added time at the end of the first half. It was a double challenge, it seemed. Two Everton players coming in. It might have been Doucouré who got the contact that mattered, but it is a penalty to Chelsea.
I mean, it was good play by Chelsea. Nice little 1-2s around the box. Fed through. Doucouré had got the wrong side there, and because he's the wrong side, you have to be careful if you make any sort of contact. He's dragged him back there. He can't argue. There is no argument there whatsoever. Yeah. Got the wrong side. You cannot drag someone back. Both arms as well.
Yeah, Mina slid in front of Chilwell. Lovely turn by Chilwell. Excellent little ball from Koulibaly to find him. So it is Jorginho to take the penalty against Jordan Pickford. Jorginho, remember the Euro final when Pickford dived to his right and made a brilliant save to keep out Jorginho. And one or two of the players are getting in front. Well, Yerry Mina, I think he's done this kind of thing before, Yerry Mina.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Yellow card. Yellow card for Mina.
The referee's not been filled there at all. Mina's standing there, he's having a go at Jorginho, standing in front of him, pushing him, shoving him. You can't really do that at this point in time.
Yeah.
You can see Azpilicueta does what he always does, is goes and tries to get in the way of the problem.
We've still got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players around the penalty spot. I mean, it must be, how long is it since the penalty was awarded?
Yeah, it is off-putting because if you're the...
Pickford's come out of his goal, come out of the 6-yard box. Jorginho's just staring down. Goodness knows what Pickford is talking about. Might be reminding him of that moment at Wembley. So Jorginho with a chance to put Chelsea ahead in added time at the end of the first half here at Goodison Park from the penalty spot. It is Jorginho against Pickford. There's the whistle. Jorginho now steps up, right-footed, and scores! Pickford went to his left. Jorginho went the other way. He went the same way as Wembley, but scored this one. And Chelsea are in front with their first goal of this new Premier League season from the penalty spot by Jorginho in the 9th minute of added time at the end of the first half. It is Everton 0, Chelsea 1.
As the game has gone on in this first half, I thought Everton started well, but they fell further and further and further back. They were giving away corner kicks, too many of them, free kicks in dangerous areas, and they just need to make one mistake where you're under that much pressure, and it was a mistake. They could have got the wrong side, gave away the penalty kick, and Jorginho, he has taken the most normal free penalty kick I think I've ever seen him take in his life. Perfect in the corner, keeper goes the wrong way, 1-0. And you can't really argue now, as the game has gone, with the amount of possession, the amount of ball that they've had in the final third, Chelsea probably just deserve it.
Yeah, I remember he missed that one at West Ham last season, or it was saved, I should say. But this time, no Jorginho jump, no messing about. He just ran up, hit it right-footed, sent the goalkeeper the wrong way, scored it very deep in added time at the end of the first half. Chelsea have dominated the possession and now they lead by 1-0. Pat Nevin.
And that is the problem you've got if you're Everton. The match was simply set up, defend deep, a 5, 4 and a 1 up front, but try and break at pace when you get a chance. And at the start it looked really good, and what they were finding themselves is giving away corners, but they were defending them very well. Problem is, when you defend that deep, eventually someone's going to make a mistake, someone's going to switch off for just a second, and with good players around they will find a pass. And the pass was found by Koulibaly, who it has to be said is probably the best player on the park today, which is exciting news for Chelsea fans and for Thomas Tuchel. And the penalty was given, and I don't think they can complain too much, the Everton fans, about this, and Chelsea will just be relieved because they weren't brilliant, they're a little bit sluggish, but they were still good enough.
Thank you, Pat. Yep, Everton got it all to do at half-time. Everton 0, Chelsea 1.
They can probably complain, Pat, that the officials didn't spot the ball being about a yard out of play in the build-up to the Godfrey injury. Yeah, that's where they could, because that's a horrible-looking injury. And look, the officials weren't going to know that was going to happen, but that it was missed.
I know, to much. John and I both said in the commentary right away. I mean, we felt it. Well, that looked well out. I mean, we're a long way away, and we've got a pole in the way.
One of those as well. That's a lot easier to see when you're raised up like we are. The assistant, I think, was on the opposite side. The ball went out on the other side of the goal.
Yeah, the assistant, the far side, is not going to be able to see it, but the referee, you think, should say that. And it's, sometimes you need to look at camera angles, and if you're doing match of the day, you'll be able to go and put a camera angle down to where the referee's vision is, and it may well be the defender's body was in the way as well. But you're absolutely right, they got that one wrong, and it led moments later to what is obviously a horrific injury. And it's a real shame, it's a real sadness, and it has made a little bit of a difference, because before that Everton looked really comfortable. After that they just gave away corner after corner and began to look second best, and the belief started to drain out of the team. And it's a real shame that, because Everton, they fought manfully, but when you've got very little up front to aim for, it's incredibly difficult to keep on fighting that rear guard for that amount of time.
That half was not short of an hour, so I ought to be coming back to you for the second half now, but we'll do half time, and the second half is on the way here on 5 Live, and then it's 6:06 with Chris and Robbie. 08085 909 6-9-3. Here are the scores in the Premier League you might want to react to. Fulham 2, Liverpool 2. Mitrovic getting both for Fulham. Liverpool coming twice from behind with goals from Darwin Núñez and Mo Salah. Fabian Schär with a screamer, and Callum Wilson got the goals as Newcastle beat Nottingham Forest 2-0. Jefferson Lerma and Kiefer Moore were on target as Bournemouth beat Villa 2-0. We'll hear from Scott Parker and Steven Gerrard shortly. James Ward-Prowse put Southampton ahead at Tottenham, but Antonio Conte's side hit back to win 4-1. Eric Dyer among the goals, his first since May 2019. And Rodrigo and an Nouri own goal gave Leeds a 2-1 win at home to Wolves. In the Football League, Blackburn won 3-0 at Swansea to make it back-to-back wins at the start of the Championship season. They're the only ones who've won 2 out of 2 so far. Peterborough have the only 100% record in League One. They beat Morecambe. 5 teams have 100% records in League Two. Walsall, Michael Flynn going back to Newport with Walsall today, and they won that game. And along with Walsall, Crewe, Leyton Orient, Barrow and Stevenage. In the Scottish Premiership, Celtic and Rangers both won today. They beat Ross County and Kilmarnock respectively. Aberdeen beat St Mirren, and in the other game in the Scottish Premiership it finished Motherwell 1, St Johnstone 2. We'll get reaction to a lot of those games, round up some of the day's other sport as well after the latest BBC News at 6:30.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
With the 5 Live News, I'm Jill Mackenzie. Archie Battersby has died in hospital after his life support treatment was withdrawn this morning. The 12-year-old had been in a coma since he was found unconscious at home in April. His parents spent weeks in court trying to extend his treatment, but judges agreed with doctors that ending care was in Archie's best interests. At least 15 Palestinians have now been killed in the Gaza Strip after a second day of Israeli airstrikes. Israel is targeting the Palestinian militant group Islamic Jihad and said it expected the offensive to last a week. Liz Truss insists that tax cuts are the best way to support struggling families. Her Conservative leadership rival, Rishi Sunak, argues that tackling inflation should be the priority. And the comedian Jade Adam has been announced as the 5th contestant to be taking part in Strictly Come Dancing. She recently starred in the BBC Three sitcom Alma's Not Normal.
Essential football listening. More live Premier League football than anyone else. One.
Plus, get BBC Sounds to catch up or download podcasts, including Transfer Gossip Daily and the Football Daily.
Big names and big debates, 7 days a week.
Proper Football with Chris Kamara and Ben Shepherd.
A new podcast where you sports stars tell us what it's really like to be a footballer. You don't want to miss it.
Like the time you missed that red card, Kemi?
Give over.
And coming soon, Jermaine Defoe, Outside the Box. Essential football listening is right here.
They're rattling in the goals and they're racking up the points.
Including more live Premier League football than anyone else.
Get your football fix. Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live.
This is 5 Live Sport.
Chelsea a goal up at Goodison at half-time, second half on the way at the Commonwealth Games today. Jake Whiteman of Scotland got bronze in the 1500 metres. Oliver Hoare of Australia took the gold, as did England's Nick Miller in the hammer. Good night session on the way, Alison Kirbishley.
It certainly is. It's the penultimate night of athletics here, and it's finals all the way, with probably the highlight being the women's 800 metres. Home nation favourite Keely Hodgkinson is looking to upgrade her silver from the World Championships up against the great Scottish hope Laura Muir, attempting a tough 800, 1500 metre double here. The evening closes with the 200 finals, with England's Zarnell Hughes, one of the strong favourites in the men's, and in the women's, Jamaica's double Olympic champion Elaine Thompson-Herah will be looking to add to her 100 metres title.
England lost to India by 5 wickets in the T20 semi-final, so they'll play the loser of Australia and New Zealand for the bronze medal. That match just underway. New Zealand 43 for 2 in the 8th. It'll also be a bronze medal match for England's netballers against New Zealand after they lost their semi-final to Australia 60-51. Gemma Frizzell took gold in the rhythmic gymnastics hoop final for Wales. Northern Ireland's lawn bowlers won gold in the men's fours. To Muirfield next, Ian Carter.
watching one of the great rounds of major championship golf this year, I think, at the moment, Mark. Ashley Buhai of South Africa has no drop shots in 14 holes, 7 birdies, and it is really blowing here at Muirfield, sweeping across the course. She has moved to 14 under par, 5 shots clear of overnight leader In-Ji Chun at 9 under par. Charlie Hull, the leading Briton, 3 under after her round of 69.
To the Vitality Stadium next on 5 Live. Bournemouth 2, Aston Villa 0. Aaron Paul's been talking to Scott Parker.
You've been written off by everyone upon everyone this season. Is this step 1 of 38 to proving people wrong?
Well, there's definitely that. I take no notice of that, really. We can't afford to get into anything like that. Underdog, written off. I understand why, of course I do, with the team that's just been newly promoted. We need to use that as fuel for us. When you go on a football field, as when I played for 20 years, and when I went on a football field, I didn't care who they were, what they were, how much they cost, how much quality they had, how long they played in the league. I went in there with one thought, and that was, I want to try and show my qualities. I want to try and take the man on. I want to have real passion about me, and I've tried to give that over to the team to let them understand it. A football match is 11 v 11, and while of course you come up against people with different qualities, there's one thing that you can always match, and if not be better. And I thought today at times we was much better in that sense of a mentality about us, and never say die attitude. And with that, my experience have told me you have a chance, really. So hopefully we can continue that.
Here's his opposite number, Stephen Gerrard.
You always know the opposition are going to come up with confidence and belief. Of course they are. They picked a big physical team today, and they hurt us on set plays. I think that'll be the main focus from the result. But we've also had 90 minutes to create and score against this team, and the big worry for me was that there was a lack of quality in the final third. We had dominant spells possession-wise. We got to the right areas of the pitch, but our last pass, our last cross, our last bit of quality was off today.
You conceded early on, which must have been frustrating, and then just as it felt like the pendulum was fully swinging your way, they go and Kiefer Moore scores. That must have been even more infuriating.
Yeah, listen, to concede so early from a not-in situation is always frustrating, and the game changes from that point of view. They become a low block. They're allowed to stay in on a warm, sticky day, so the challenge becomes even more difficult. But we still had big periods. We still got to the right areas. We still had enough quality on the pitch to get back into the game, but we couldn't find the answers.
Ellen Road, Leeds beat Wolves 2-1. We heard from Jesse Marsh live during Sports Report. Bruno Lage, after the game, was asked if he expects Conor Cody to still be at the club at the end of the transfer window. This is what he said.
I expect, because I trust a lot in him. He's one of the best persons I met in football. It's our captain, our leader. We have a good relationship with him. But in the same way, I need to understand that we have the next 3 months, we have a World Cup in front of us. I need to understand that, but I don't have that thing in my mind. I want to keep in him, and I want to keep in all these players. What I want, and what I need is my players. So no one to leave.
Southampton ended last season with 4 successive defeats, and they began this season with a 4-1 defeat at Tottenham. Here's Ralph Hasenhüttl.
I think in both goals, what we conceded in the beginning, we have been man against man in the box, and the cross comes, and then we don't defend there. So this is not about not organized or something. It's about 1 against 1 in the box, and we haven't been strong enough. I think the opponent switched to the next gear after 20 minutes, and we couldn't follow. And then it looks like it looked.
Were you happy with? Because I know you've been playing with this shape through pre-season. You don't think it was about that?
I think we started well, and what we wanted to do worked quite well. I think we had some good moments, scored a goal, have been in the lead, but there is a reason why we tried in the past very often to keep the opponent far away from our goal, because we were lacking of defending in and around the box, and we try to do it now with a back 5, that we have more players there. But you see, it's not about this, it's about individually 1 against 1, where you have to be stronger. First goal, you have to be there, and I know you cannot block every cross. The deeper you sit with more players, the more time they have to look for the cross, but you have to defend it better, that's for sure.
Second half from Goodison on the way, where it's Everton 0, Chelsea 1 at half-time. You can see all the Premier League action tonight. 10:20, BBC One, Wright, Shearer and Lineker, and speaking of great strikers, Chris Sutton's alongside Robbie Savage.
Wow, what are you being nice for?
Because, as I said to Alan earlier, it's the first one of the season, so everybody's full of hope and positivity.
I just got and Robbie Savage.
Yeah,
thanks, Chappers. Worthington Cup winner.
Thanks,
Chappers.
I was being nice to you and trying to put,
Yeah.
Right,
Thanks.
Give me
Chappers.
time. Give me time.
Strictly's Robbie Savage, mate.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Chappers. Right then, Chris, the Premier League started last night. Arsenal, good signings. Gonna have a good season.
Yeah, I think so. I think the North London clubs are really interesting. Let's hear from Arsenal and Spurs fans this evening. But yeah, Arsenal seem like they've gone up a notch. Where can Arsenal finish this season? Do you think they'll get top four? I don't quite think they're ready for the top four, but I think Jesus is the difference maker for them. And Spurs today were absolutely brilliant, albeit against Southampton. So I want to hear from Spurs fans and Southampton fans. I think the Saints may be in a bit of trouble this season.
You've hammered Fulham and Bournemouth. I've seen in your predictions already saying they're going down. Fulham with a great draw
Who had
against
Bournemouth to stay up, Rob?
Liverpool, and Bournemouth with a win over Steven Gerrard's Villa. Are you worried about Villa this season?
Well, I don't know. Look, they're not going to get relegated, are they? But I think if you're a Villa fan, are they more expectant of Steven Gerrard's team this season? John McGinn being handed the captaincy. I think Steven Gerrard saying a top half finish. But if you're a Villa fan, do you want a bit more than that? Do you think the team should finish a little bit higher up? I think Fulham are, great story. My team, Norwich City, started the season so poorly last season. I thought Fulham were brilliant today. Mitrovic, of course,
2 goals,
scoring his 2 goals. But that performance will give them so much confidence going forward. And Bournemouth. Who had Bournemouth to stay up? Is there anybody in the country who thought Bournemouth would stay up? Massive win for them today. So let's hear from Bournemouth and Fulham fans.
It was a long wait from Nottingham Forest, wasn't it, to get back in the Premier 23 years. I think they've done okay, but Newcastle looked exciting on the counter-attack, good pace in forward. They deserved the win. What can happen to Newcastle this year?
Oh, let's hear from Newcastle fans. Eddie Howe did brilliantly last season, didn't he? Where can you finish this season, Newcastle fans? And let's hear from Manchester United fans. How's your summer been, Ronaldo? Does he really care about the club?
08085 909 693. Time to go back to the legend that is John Murray at Goodison Park.
Thank you, Robbie, and happy new season to you and Chris as well. Look forward to listening to you on the way back later. Round about 7:30, we think 6:06 will be on the air on a Saturday night this season. So here we are at Goodison. Pat Nevins alongside me, former Everton and Chelsea man, watching Everton 0, Chelsea 1. Jorginho scoring from the penalty spot just before half-time. But the news we've heard at half-time, Pat, is that Ben Godfrey, who was stretchered off, nasty-looking injury, when he put in his own tackle, actually, on Havertz. It's a lower leg injury, and he has been taken to the hospital in Aintree.
Yeah, and it's no surprise that, because it took a long time. You can see the way the medics and the players reacted as well. And it's a real shame for any player to have that first game of the season. There's no upside to it at all. So let's just hope, modern medicine, they can sometimes get players back much, much quicker. And I can remember one particularly horrible one here. Was it Alan? I think it was, yeah. Right. And I was shocked at how quickly he came back. So let's hope Ben's back quickly as well.
Yeah, let's very much hope that. So the teams are back out, no further changes. So as Craig Pawson blows the whistle to get the second half underway, and the ball's played back to Pickford, who hits it downfield. Everton with Pickford in goal, the captain for this match. Now substitute Holgate, Mina and Tarkovsky, the 3 central defenders. Patterson on the right, Mikalenko on the left, Doucouré and Iwobi in the middle, McNeil and Gray in the wider positions, and Anthony Gordon playing through the middle in the absence of, Richarlison's obviously been sold now. Rondon is suspended for this match, the last of a 3-match suspension after a red card at the end of last season, and Calvert-Lewin obviously out injured. Chelsea leading 1-0 on the attack with the ball inside the Everton half. Still dozens and dozens of people returning to their seats after the half-time break. Chelsea still in possession. Everton, the blue shirts, white shorts and white socks. The onus is on them now to turn this around. So that's given away by goal scorer Jorginho, and that's a lovely little change of feet on the far side by McNeil. Lovely, dragged it back, passed it infield to Iwobi, then to Mikalenko, but Chelsea have won it back. The ball bounced away off Gordon. So the Chelsea side, Mendy in goal, Azpilicueta, Silva and Koulibaly, James and Chilwell the wing backs, Jorginho and Kante in the middle, then Mount, debutant Sterling and Kai Havertz through the middle. Pat Nevin.
Yep, just interesting to see what Everton do. I mean, they've not really changed anything at the start of the second half. We'll keep an eye on it because, Frank has to do something. They're not out of the game yet. It's 1-0, but they had so little of the possession the last 20-25 minutes of that first half that, the Everton fans here will think, at least have a little bit more of a go in this second half. But his options are limited.
Yep, Chelsea coming forward, a little flick from Sterling. That was nice. Gives it to Mount, and now the cross from James to the back post, which is headed away by Patterson, but he headed it to the edge of his own area. But Iwobi was sharp there, and he was able to get there first and clear it. But Koulibaly has pulled that ball down 30 yards out. Sterling back to Koulibaly, who was rampaging into the Everton penalty area, but Everton got a touch on the edge of the box, cleared it downfield. Gray's onto this, he's got there ahead of Thiago Silva. Gray inside the Chelsea box, shoots from the angle, and it's deflected off Thiago Silva right across the 6-yard box beyond the far post. Didn't threaten the goal actually, but it is a corner.
What any team should try and get is 1-on-1 Thiago Silva. I mean, he's a fabulous player, but he's not lining quick just now, and they managed to get that. Every time you see Mendy coming out, you think, oh, you've come out too quick. That time he was so sluggishly slow. That was 100% his ball, and he made the wrong decision to back into his goal, and it almost cost Chelsea there. But that's a little lift for Everton started the second half, knowing that they can break.
5 Live and BBC Sounds. This is where you get the Saturday 5:30 kickoff in the Premier League this season. Corner then. Gray, deep one over everyone inside the area, and it's bouncing out of play for a goal kick.
I'm actually going to call it. See that corner down there? But I take the corners on the left-hand side. It's so hard to take corners from down here that I actually did a piece.
I was just going to mention that. Yeah.
It's from that corner to show that how difficult it is in the modern game to take corners in comparison to what it was many years before, because you're going from one surface to another, you're walking up a hill and the step as well. It's ridiculous. It's almost an assault course to take a corner. So that's the one thing in the game that is definitely not improved over the years.
I remember that. I really enjoy it. It's probably still on the internet somewhere. People can search for it. Pat Nevin on corners. It'll not be like that at Bramley Moor Dock in the new stadium. 2 years' time, today in 2 years' time, they'll love taking corners there. Here's Sterling. Sterling bringing the ball forward from the halfway line. Still going. Doucouré is going with him. Sterling kept his feet this time. Might have gone down. Not sure whether there was enough contact really to merit a foul. And Sterling probably knew it, that he wasn't going to get that one. And it will be now as Everton clear to him. And then Gray is beaten to it by Azpilicueta, who enjoyed that. He didn't have the best of times here last season, remember. He was at fault for the goal that Richarlison scored back in April. And then was denied by a brilliant save by Pickford. And Azpilicueta, even though there has been this talk that he might have been on his way, wanted to go to Barcelona, had a chance to go there, not for the first time incidentally, but no one would question his.
What was intriguing is they had this rule, a static rule where they didn't sign players over a certain age for more than 1 year at a time, and you lose players sometimes that you could have kept. Well, he's just been offered a 2-year contract and said, yeah, okay, I'll stay.
I'll stay.
Sometimes you set these little rules, it's not always the right rule to make.
33 this month, Azpilicueta. Mind you, there's no certainty at the moment that he would actually be able to play for Barcelona, although I suspect they'll get round that issue. Long delays here because Chelsea are delaying the taking of a throw-in. James eventually does so, and then Mason Mount runs away with it, but Doucouré and Mina are able to mop up and play it back to the man in green, Jordan Pickford. And the England goalkeeper strikes this over the halfway line. Gordon is beaten in the air easily by Thiago Silva, who just leapt and headed it down. And Chelsea with James, his dark blue socks halfway down his calves, back to the halfway line. Azpilicueta. Chelsea absolutely dominating possession. Although Everton won this match in April when they had, I think it was 27.1% possession in that match. Gray, that's nice. The flick down the line for Doucouré, who plays it forward to Gordon. And Gordon now running at Thiago Silva, but the ball didn't run for him. However, he was able to check back. And then the ball's turned across by McNeil, but hits the defenders. Koulibaly and Thiago Silva together, and the ball rebounds away behind for a corner.
Right, it's quite clear that Frank Lampard's actually told his team here, there is a weakness in that Chelsea back line. Obviously Thiago Silva, a fabulous player, not quick at all in comparison to the modern players that are playing against him, the youngsters. Add on top of that Azpilicueta. So there's a weakness there. It's the same weakness. They're going to try and get that situation sorted twice in a row now. They've almost got in with a very simple 1-2 and get beyond them.
Well, it's a corner from Pat's corner again in front of the Gladys Street end. This is a deeper one. Mendy comes for it, hooks it away, comes out to Iwobi. Doucouré with a shot, that's blocked. Bounces down, rattling around, and it bounces up and is caught by Mendy. Players throwing themselves all over the place there. Blocks in, a real scramble, and it ended up in the gloves of the Chelsea goalkeeper.
Well, certainly it's a much better, it's like rugby tackle on the near side, Mykolenko. Much better, more energy for Everton. They started the first half not too badly as well. I have to say I wasn't hugely unimpressed by Mendy there again. The ball's crossed in, it's in the 6-yard line, he can just go and catch that. And he hits the most awful punch that puts his team in massive trouble. Almost gave away a goal, almost a penalty kick as well.
What he did do though, Pat, and I know this because it happened behind the post and I've just seen a replay, he actually saved the shot from Doucouré. I don't think either of us saw that. I think it was behind the post as we look at it.
He wouldn't have needed to make it if he'd have caught the ball in the first place.
That's a very good point. Everton 0, Chelsea 1. 7 minutes played in the second half. 6:06 on the way. The lines are open to talk to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton about the, amongst other things, the first day's action in the Premier League Saturday this season. As ball is played forward for Chelsea, but Pickford is able to come forward and catch it. Busy sporting night. There is a choice of listening on Sports Extra right now, on digital radio, BBC Sounds. It is the second semi-final of the women's T20 at the Commonwealth Games, and Eleanor Aldroyd can give us the latest.
Beautiful evening here, and New Zealand 78 for 2, not quite the firepower we saw in that first semi-final, which India won against England, but Susie Bates, one of New Zealand's most dangerous batters, out for a duck, but 79 for 2 in 12.3 overs. New Zealand will need to up the rate a bit if they're going to challenge the world champions.
Yes, thanks, Ellie. It'll either be Australia or New Zealand in that final, and the losers will play England for the bronze medal. Everton with an attack, just while we were listening to Alan out there, but it came to nothing, and therefore Chelsea have moved the ball back downfield. Chelsea leading through that late penalty at the end of the first half, and Chilwell in the yellow boots knocking it back to Koulibaly.
It's worth underlining, John, Chelsea look incredibly ragged at the back of the start of this second half, and just looking down at Tuchel there, he's fuming with it. He's very disappointed the way his team has started this second half. I think he wanted more tempo to the game, and he hasn't got much.
Here's Azpilicueta playing it infield, Jorginho, and then back it goes towards Thiago Silva again. Jorginho, Chelsea just keeping possession inside the Everton half, and then forward it goes quickly to Sterling, but Sterling is intercepted by Mina on the edge of the area, and then there's a foul on Patterson, and it's a free kick to Everton halfway inside their own half. Quite an interesting lineup of Chelsea substitutes that Tuchel has got to pick from tonight. So there's Kovacic, who has had an injury, Pulisic, Loftus-Cheek, Chalobah, Breuer is on there, now back in the Chelsea fold after his season at Southampton, Ziyech, Conor Gallagher, likewise back in the Chelsea fold after that season at Crystal Palace when he was the player of the season, and also the new signing Marc Cucurella. There's plenty to choose from there.
Yeah, there's if he wants to get a little bit of energy on that, Cucurella, he'll give you it. I don't think there's much doubt about that. I think Chilwell's been caught in possession 2 or 3 times in this game. He's been very upset because typically the ones that you'd have got a free kick for last season that you ain't getting them for this season. And Cucurella will be looking at that thinking, give me a chance, give me 20 minutes and I can get a bit more liveliness going forward.
Yellow card for Chelsea's delaying of the taking of a throw-in. I knew that was coming because the referees say that they will clamp down on that this season. So that was it a yellow card for James or for Azpilicueta, who is actually going to take it?
Yeah, that was a difficult. I think it may have been James because he was warned already.
Yeah, so yellow card. We think it was James. Here is Havertz, who plays it out to Chilwell on the left-hand side. Still a lovely sunny evening. Chilwell takes it down towards the corner flag, and then it's challenged by Patterson, who knocked it out of play off the Englishman for a throw-in to Everton, 10 yards away from the corner flag.
Not getting a lot out of Chilwell down that side there. And Patterson's, his strong side, it's typical of a modern wing back. His strong side is not his defending, it's his attacking. But so far between the two of them, I think Patterson's, he'll be very, very pleased, and I think Frank Lampard will be very, very pleased at how he's done against who is a player who could be arguably England's number one left back.
Yep, Chelsea though, Everton haven't been able to get it away, but they will now, because Iwobi on the edge of his old area takes it away. Been quite effective, Iwobi, in that central area in the match so far, but Chelsea leading 1-0. Plays it forward, McNeil on his debut. Dwight McNeil, who had a very good season with Burnley despite the relegation. Not able to get on the score sheet though. I think that's one thing that Everton clearly will be wanting to get out of him. Goals. Gordon is then penalised for a foul on Jorginho, and Chelsea have a free kick 10 yards inside their own half. 1-0 Chelsea lead.
I think Chelsea actually might be tempted to make some substitutions quite soon. I mean, Kovacic's energy might be something they might want to, though he isn't actually one of the ones warming up just now, but certainly Cucurella is one. And if you're talking about energy, I think Conor Gallagher is a player you would say does not lack that at all.
No.
Because you've not seen much of Mount tonight, have you?
No,
very quiet.
We have not. And here is Azpilicueta as Chelsea take it away. Stretches his legs, the Chelsea captain gives it to James, but then Nikolenko times his slide in for the challenge perfectly, and it rolls out of play next to the corner flag, so it's Chelsea's ball.
I think James is going to take it from this side, somewhat surprisingly. Chilwell's not making the effort to come across.
Yeah, corner it is. This is Chelsea's first of the second half after 13 in the first 45 minutes plus, if you weren't listening earlier. I think Chelsea are thinking about making a change. Or is it Everton who are going to make a change?
No, I think Dele Alli might come in.
James playing it into the near post. It rattles around inside the box, but bounces down for the volley away downfield by Tarkowski. So Dele Alli, many fancied that he would start in this forward role, but only on the bench again. He started just the one competitive match for Everton so far, Dele Alli. James on the right hand side. James coming in field, actually just with his swinging arm held off Gray, and he might have just caught him in the face there, and he stayed down, although he's now getting back to his feet. Chelsea with the ball on the left hand side. Sterling receives it from his England and now Chelsea colleague Chilwell, and then in comes the challenge to bounce out of play for a throw-in. Sterling did have the ball in the net in the first half, but it was rightly ruled out for offside. And yep, Dele Alli is now receiving his instructions from, that is Ashley Cole, isn't it, down there? Yes, it is.
Yeah, you'd expect he would be a man to bring on it. Obviously, he's got some height. You know, he's not always seen as the strongest and the most bruising centre forward type, but you know, he's something that you can aim at, and that would give you a chance to drop Gordon a little bit deeper, get him on the ball, and run towards defenders, because he's had very few chances to run towards defenders with the ball at his feet so far, Gordon. But he could do real damage today with that.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Chelsea though coming forward. A second goal though for Chelsea, and that would surely be it. You cannot see Everton coming back from 2 goals down. But 1-0 it is at the moment. Kante giving it square to Azpilicueta. Azpilicueta then in towards Sterling. That's Tarkowski with the challenge. Sterling stays down, no free kick. Gordon is running from deep, but the cover is there. Azpilicueta, I think that was on his last stretch. Azpilicueta put that out of play right on the halfway line, and the change will come now.
Yeah, they're right on the edge, aren't they? I mean, Azpilicueta has to be last ditch tackles sometimes. Thiago Silva gets himself into good position, so he's not being run, but you can tell that's what they're trying to do at the moment. And if Everton had somebody with pure pace to bring on through the middle, I think that might be a sensible option too, but Dele Alli's the one, and that's maybe not his biggest strength.
No, no change yet. Play back underway. Chelsea playing it forward, but it's out of play from James, throwing on the halfway line. So yes, the lines are open for the first Saturday night, 6:06 of the new Premier League season. 08085 909 693. You can text 85058 to talk to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton about anything that's been happening in the world of football today. Chelsea delaying getting it away from the back. Chilwell, Everton herring around, and in the end Koulibaly puts it out of play.
I think Chilwell's having quite a difficult day today. You know, the ball's not sticking very well with him at all. He's been put under a lot of pressure on that far side, and he just doesn't seem at his very best at all.
Well, it's McNeil who's coming off actually. So an hour for his Premier League debut for his new club, the former Burnley man, Dwight McNeil, Everton's new number 7, still just 22 years old. walking in front of the Gladys Street end. There's applause there for him, applause of encouragement. How do you think he's done?
Yeah, I mean, he worked hard enough. He didn't get a lot of the ball in attacking areas, so it's hard to tell, because we're under the cosh so much for most of that game. But, first game, didn't do anything particularly wrong, but didn't actually sparkle.
And it is, Pat, as you suggested, Dele Alli who is taking up that position through the middle. In his boots, his orange boots. Everton over the top. Plays it to Mikalenko's ball across. Is beyond Dele Alli in the middle and through for a goal kick. But applause there for the intention of that move from Everton.
It's the same ball again. They know there's a space behind Azpilicueta. Reece James is pushing really far up the field. So Azpilicueta's left on his own. So they put it over the top, and pace-wise he's going to have a problem.
And there's applause as Dwight McNeil walks now in front of the main stand after his first appearance in the famous blue shirt in the Premier League.
Chelsea are going to make a double change. I thought they might make a treble. I honestly did, but it's been so lacklustre.
Yeah, remember 5 substitutes now allowed in the Premier League. Everton coming forward with Gray, who tries to angle it back, but only succeeded in passing it straight into his Chelsea opponent, Chilwell, who was able to clear, and then a free kick is conceded by Patterson on the far side. So Loftus-Cheek is going to come on for Chelsea. Pulisic as well. He's now got blonde highlights in his hair, the American international. Koulibaly has gone down with some cramp, so he will need to be eased from that.
Well, I bet like Rudiger from Chelsea last season, they were so reliant on him. The last thing that Chelsea needed is an injury to Koulibaly to keep him out for a while, because he's the one showing the strength and the power. And it's a call from Thiago Silva saying, make a change, make a change. It's hard to know what change he wants made.
Yeah, well, Pulisic and Loftus-Cheek are the two who are still waiting to come on, as you said. It could be a triple change. And it will be Chelsea's ball when play eventually resumes, but there's a delay here. In fact, the substitution it's taken too long. They've delayed.
They delayed it deliberately because Thiago Silva was saying someone needs moved. And is it Koulibaly that needs to come off? Is it Thiago Silva himself that needs to come off? And I think that's what they're trying to find out just now.
And then the ball is chipped out of play by Azpilicueta. And there's a little bit of confusion, it seems, down there with Chelsea. Thomas Tuchel standing on the side of the pitch with palms wide apart. And he's asking Sterling. He's got some instructions for Raheem Sterling. The ball's out of play again. Right, it is Reece James who is the first to come off.
Yeah, Pulisic can maybe go on in that kind of wing-back position, fly up and down. Yeah, it's a possibility. I mean, they've got very adaptable players, Chelsea, so we shall see what Thomas Tuchel will do. It's been done rather slowly.
It is. James is sauntering towards the halfway line.
I mean, everyone's saying slow down to James, don't come off yet. I mean, the board's already been up, they should be off.
They're waiting because, well, and then the other number that comes up is Ben Chilwell. So Chilwell coming off, but there's a change of mind. It's not Reece James. James is going to go across to left back.
That is exactly what I was saying there. Thiago Silva was shouting something. He was the one who was trying to communicate and get it over, and he eventually has managed to get it over. If you make a change and then you realise that, wait a minute, Chilwell's injured and we've made 2 or 3 changes, so they've got it right now.
Yeah, so Pulisic is on, and Mason Mount is off, and Loftus-Cheek comes on to play as the right wing back.
Yep. And Pulisic goes on to where Mount was.
Yeah. There is a bit of talk, isn't there, Pat, about Loftus-Cheek perhaps moving on in this transfer window, whether it's permanently or on loan, but he isn't half adaptable, Loftus-Cheek, as we saw on a number of occasions last season. 1-0 Chelsea lead, Everton 0, Chelsea 1 is the score. 25 minutes to go, another long delay, so I think at this rate we're going to do well to get to 6:06 for 7:30. Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton waiting to take your calls. 08085 909 63 to speak to them. 08085 909 693. And you'll be able to, of course, as ever, read about everything that's happened in the world of football and the sporting world on the BBC Sport website and app. And the highlights are on the first match of the day of the new Premier League season after the news on BBC One tonight and on the iPlayer. Everton 0, Chelsea 1. It's been a stuttering sort of match, hasn't it?
To be honest, Chelsea have not been particularly good today. And they're 1-0 up. They're away from home at a team that's fighting and battling. But they have not been slick, they have not been sharp, they've not been fast. I think Thomas Tuchel, I know Thomas Tuchel's fed up. You look at his body language down there, it's absolutely fuming at the moment. He's so disappointed with what he's seeing out there. So he's made those changes, and he'll expect and hope a little bit more energy comes out, because he's not had enough. And that change that they've made there, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, that problem I was talking to you before about Azpilicueta getting the ball over the top of him and not getting any cover. Ruben Loftus-Cheek has been asked to play a much more defensive role than he would normally be asked to do.
They've got another stoppage, because now Yerry Mina, who has had an injury and has only got back in time for the start of the season, he has sat down on the far side of the field, 10-12 yards inside the Everton half. And this could be a problem for Everton, having already lost one central defender in the space of in the shape of Ben Godfrey, and that he's pulled up there. Just seen the replay which showed that he pulled up, so he's receiving some treatment. More on this in a moment. Everton 0, Chelsea 1. But back to that Commonwealth Games cricket semi-final in Eleanor Oldroyd.
Yeah, New Zealand is successfully pushing up the rate here. They're 112 for 3 after 16 overs, and we've just seen their captain Sophie Devine perishing for 53. She reached her 50 with a 6, and then she was out 2 balls later, caught off the bowling of Jess Jonathan. But we're enjoying this on a beautiful evening. Fantastic crowd in here, John, as well, and cheering every big hit and waving their 4 and 6 cards in the air. But yeah, New Zealand will probably need to get around about 150 odd, you'd have thought, if they're going to have a chance against Australia. But they're 116 for 3 now in 16.2 overs.
Yeah, thanks Ellie. That's on 5 Sports Extra on your digital radio. Still lovely sunshine on the Bullens Road stand on the far side of the ground. Everton 0, Chelsea 1, and still Mina has received treatment. It looks as though he's going to maybe battle on, but he is hobbling as he walks in field.
He seems to have done some sort of slight strain up to the left-hand side of his shin. A very unusual place to do a strain, and it's just he was shadowing the ball out. He wasn't kicked in any way at all. And I think he just got a little bit of a fright. Sometimes that can happen with your ankle. You can roll it just a little bit, but he's chucked it.
Yeah, that's it. The change is going to have to be made, and it's Ruben Vinagre who's going to come on for his competitive debut for Everton. This is the Portuguese who had time at Wolves, you might remember, but is now on loan from Sporting in Lisbon, and Vinagre is going to come on. Now he's a left back, or left wing back, so with Mina coming off, so this is the second central defender that Everton have lost in this match to injury.
I mean, you would hope he could be a left centre back maybe. We shall see where he fits in there. I mean, will they stay for the 3 at the back? Will Mikolenko move over there to the left centre back? We shall see.
So welcome to Everton, Ruben Vinagre, and it does look as though he's going to play at left wing back with Mikolenko coming in to the left-sided central defensive role. So already really Everton have got an injury crisis here, haven't they, on their hands?
Absolutely. I mean, quite a few players. I think Alan's injured as well. There's 2 or 3 others apart. We mentioned Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but the last thing you need right start of the season, and maybe
Andros Townsend,
a big part. Yeah, a big part of it is when it's an early start to the season. Maybe getting some players have got less time off than they maybe needed to recover from last season, and that might be part of it.
Yeah, Ben Chilwell actually has to come back a week early from pre-season after all of the time that he's been out, but he's off injured now. Seamus Coleman still out injured. Here I learnt this week Seamus Coleman has had an inguinal operation this summer, which I've never heard of it before.
Would you like to know?
Well, I now know because I did look it up.
All right. Apparently they usually only happen in car crashes.
Is that right? It's fascinating information.
Said the man who had once an inguinal injury.
Everton 0, Chelsea 1 is the score. And foul on Pulisic. And it is a free kick to Chelsea here on the right-hand side. 6:06 on the way, but it'll be a while. 20 minutes of the match, and then I mean, there could be 6-7 minutes of added time at the end of this again, after all of the interruptions. James to take this, still finely poised, even though Chelsea are kind of in control.
Well, yeah, kind of being the operative word. I just don't think either team's looked.
Yeah. James then with the free kick towards the penalty spot, takes a touch of an Everton head right across the box. That was Vinagre, his first touch for Everton. And Chelsea go back towards the halfway line, and Azpilicueta actually will go to Mendy, who will pass it out from the back. This time next week, the 5:30 is Brentford against Manchester United. And tomorrow we will have commentary on Manchester United's first Premier League match under Eric Ten Hag. You'll hear that on 5 Live Premier League Sunday tomorrow, as well as Leicester Brentford on Sports Extra, and then West Ham Manchester City as the champions begin their defence of the title. That's from 4:30. Steve Crossman's going to be with us at Old Trafford tomorrow from 12. Everton with the ball just inside Chelsea territory. Iwobi plays it up high towards Holgate, who takes it down. Holgate, who came on as that early substitute for Godfrey in the first half. Here is Iwobi again, who turns, faces the play, lifts the ball forward towards the run of Gordon, and then Patterson steps in, and Patterson to Dele Alli, but it's too congested in there. Ball kind of got caught up underneath his feet. The defenders converged on him, and the ball in the end bounces behind for a goal kick.
And I think Koulibaly's had another cramp there, and he can't carry on either. I mean, talking about the amount of players that have gone injured in this game, now some of them have been knocks, obviously, in the first one to Godfrey especially. But the amount of players that have got little niggly injuries at the start of this game is extraordinary. And it may well, as I say, go back to not had a full pre-season, because it's not a full pre-season. They're back much earlier because of this World Cup, and it's an unusual build-up, and quite clearly some of the players are struggling to cope with it. By the way, just looking at the change, I so expected Chelsea to get Jorginho off or Kante off and bring Kovacic on, but maybe they won't be able to do that now, because looking at centre back, they have to think of some other method, because at the moment they're falling at ninepins.
How many slots have they used? Just the one so far, Chelsea?
Yeah, they have just one. That's what slowed down, I think, the change they were making. There was an injury in the far side that Thiago Silva was telling them about, but also you don't want to make a change that's a wasted one. As you well know, as most of the listeners will know, you only get 3 options, and I think that the one that they're making just now, I think it's a brilliant move. Cucurella coming on, energy, he'll give you.
Yeah, well, I think the other one is interesting as well. Armando Broja coming on for what is only his second Premier League appearance for Chelsea. The 20-year-old who did well with his 9 goals for Southampton on loan last season, the Albanian international. So he's coming on, and so is Marc Cucurella, with all of that curly hair of his and the beard, the Spanish international, newly signed from Brighton. And the 2 players who are coming off are Havertz, who will be replaced obviously by Broja, and
I was expecting it to be Reece James. Is it? No, it's not. Reece James is moved to right centre back.
If it is, it's Koulibaly.
Yeah, Koulibaly far side there, walked off.
So that's the end of his debut. You've been impressed. I mean, that's just about as safe a signing as you can get, Koulibaly, isn't it?
Yeah,
for a new player coming into the Premier League.
Absolutely. As long as he can keep his fitness and his health, and he's young anyway, so that shouldn't be a big problem. So I think we should find out in time whether the buys of all the clubs work well, but I suppose of most of the buys that have been done this season, that's a bit the most secure.
So Marc Cucurella is on to play in his first match for Chelsea, and he is in his most familiar position, on the left side of the defence, left wing back. He's playing in this match. So Reece James is now, as Pat says, moved to what's his 3rd position of this match as the right-sided central defender.
The defences are all over the place today. Chelsea have only got 1 player in the back 5 in the position he was at the start of the game, and Everton have made a whole bunch of changes too.
Yeah, and Azpilicueta has now gone across to play as the left-sided central defender of 3. I can't remember seeing him play there very often.
Not often, but he has played there.
Yeah. Here is Pulisic. Everton 0, Chelsea 1. In this really disjointed opening Premier League match for these 2 clubs.
Frank, we just see the 2 managers on the side. It's brilliant to watch. Frank Lampard, he's the front foot. He's trying to G at his team. He's getting lively, positive about it, whereas Thomas Tuchel's just fuming and negative all over the place.
Everton 0, Chelsea 1. 5 Live, BBC Sounds, 6:06 on the way in probably about 20 minutes or so with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. Book your call now. Here's Dele Alli on the left-hand side. Dele Alli, who's dropped out towards the left wing. Kante is going with him. Dele Alli, and then Pulisic is in to drive the ball into the crowd down in that corner.
I think the Everton fans, the most common thing in the world at Goodison Park is the last 15 minutes of almost every game there's a lift, and it comes from behind the goal that they're attacking just now, and I expect it to happen at some point because, you know, it's been dull for the last part of this second half, but they will have a go.
Yeah, although I can't hear because the ball's played forward for Chelsea. Breuer chases after it through the middle, but Iwobi got there first, so Everton start again. We're into the last 15 minutes now of the 90 at least. Thiago Silva has to come across, but does well. Just so poised, isn't he? And now Jorginho to Cucurella on the left-hand side, infield towards Sterling. Sterling is dispossessed. Iwobi now again on his right foot, passes it straight into Kante, groans, and that also is set off Chelsea. Pulisic dances away past Tarkowski. Pulisic takes it out to the left-hand side, though he's got Cucurella behind him. Cucurella now all left foot coming in field, uses his right though to give it to Kante. Kante 30 yards out, and then he's dispossessed by Damari Gray. Doucouré now. It's Doucouré who conceded the penalty. You know, if there is to be a winner in a match like this, then it's probably quite fitting that it's a penalty.
Or a corner kick, let's be fair.
Yeah.
The amount of corner kicks had in this match. But
I think it'd take corners all night and they wouldn't score from one. Ball forward for Everton, but James is able to outwit Dele Alli and head it back to Mendy, who comes out, underarms it to Jorginho. Jorginho now shuffling towards the halfway line. There's no pace in this, is there, from Chelsea? But they are winning 1-0.
Yeah, but I don't think there has been much pace throughout the game. Certainly in the midfield, it's been, you know, the lumbering.
It should be pace in the Chelsea team, shouldn't
Yeah,
it?
but it's one of the complaints that Thomas Tuchel was making in pre-season, that he's not seen that zip and that, you know, that you need that liveliness in a game at the top level in English football, because when you get chances they don't stay there for long. If there's a gap, it'll only appear for a moment. You've got to be up the field and you've got to be lively and you've got to make use of it. Chelsea have been very, very lumbering in the way that they've tried to go forward.
That's Pat Nevin. We'll have more on this match on the Football Daily podcast on BBC Sounds as well, but it might be quite a brief one from you and me, the way that the match has gone so far. Here's Cucurella challenging on the far side. I thought he might have shoved Patterson in the back, but it's not given. It's out of play. It's a throw in to Chelsea, halfway inside their own half. I was amused. Whenever you see Cucurella, you can't help but think of Joe Wicks, can you? As he plays the ball in field, Cucurella. Here is Pulisic through the middle. Pulisic is challenged by Mikalenko, and Iwobi comes out of it, and Iwobi passes it forward, and Dele Alli gets a touch, but there's cover there for Chelsea.
This is surprising.
Back to Mendy.
But well done, Dele Alli. He's got himself in the right position. The three centre-backs for Chelsea, but they're not playing as a unit. Thiago Silva has been caught in his own there again. Now, he nearly got turned there by Dele Alli. Had he got turned, he wasn't getting back. So it was really clever play by Dele Alli. That's exactly how he should be playing.
Yeah. 1-0 Chelsea lead. It was 1-0 last season. Richarlison scored the only goal. Actually, Chelsea have lost their last 4 matches here, but winning this one. Here's Sterling, picks it up inside his own half, still going, shrugs off the challenge that comes in. Doucouré as well, and then Sterling plays it through for Loftus-Cheek, and Loftus-Cheek is challenged shoulder to shoulder with Mikalenko. He goes down outside the penalty area, fell into the box, but that is a free kick, and it's a yellow card for Mikalenko for the challenge.
I think that's a wee bit harsh on Mikalenko, if I'm going to be honest with you. I felt Ruben Loftus-Cheek got the right side. I mean, we will see it in the monitor here in a moment again. I actually thought a bit of Loftus-Cheek had actually tripped over the ball slightly, didn't get it quite under control. Lovely ball through by Raheem Sterling in the first place.
Not a lot in that,
minimal, that's what I'm saying, minimal touch there. It's a free kick in a dangerous area. Yeah. Chilwell wishes he was still on the field.
With the naked eye, I felt that there looked more in that than there was when you saw it on the replay, actually.
Not for me.
No, well.
I've been on the end of them.
I was going to say, you've seen it and done it. Right, free kick then for Chelsea. Cucurella and Reece James are the two there who can take it. Chelsea have put up a false wall beyond the wall. which is Azpilicueta and Jorginho.
Not really understanding what's going on,
which is an interesting one. So there is the Everton wall of 5, and then there are two Chelsea players beyond that facing Pickford, and they're now going to move away and take over position on the left side of the wall as Cucurella and James are looking at it. And Anthony Gordon is looking at the 2 Chelsea players and looking at Pickford and asking him what he wants him to do. And Cucurella is now ready for this. Into the last 10 minutes of the 90. 1-0 Chelsea lead. Looking to double their lead here. This free kick. James hits it over the wall, but high over the crossbar as well. By a distance, actually, by 1.5 yards or so. Goal kick, Everton.
It wasn't even close. It's one of those ones you either go for the near post or the far post, and he went from neither there. Not the best, Dele Alli. Well, I said he wasn't the strongest sometimes. He's just shoved over Reece James, and not many people do that.
James, though, is able to play the ball back when it comes back to him to goalkeeper Mendy. Don't think this will be the best game we see this season, Pat.
And I'm absolutely honest with you. I'm really unimpressed by Chelsea, the way they played. They've not played anywhere near.
What do they need?
Just liveliness, sharpness. I mean, a bit of speed and a bit of momentum in the middle. I mean, maybe Kovacic is the one who breaks lines and does that, but apart from, I would say, Sterling, no one else has been breaking lines.
Here is Sterling now to the edge of the area, bounces to Cucurella on the left hand side, back to Sterling, left foot. Oh, he stabbed it wide. It took a deflection though, and actually there is praise being handed out to Mykolenko for being the man who blocked that and forced it to trundle just wide.
Well, you're asking what was wrong with Chelsea. Players who break lines and go beyond. Well, Sterling, the one I mentioned there, he does it. And where does the next man he finds? It's Cucurella, who's gone wide there. He's lively. He wants to get to that byline. Not seen enough of that Chelsea so far, but those two certainly look up for it today.
Yeah, it was bang on target from Sterling, and it was actually a big deflection from Mykolenko, sliding in front of it to send it narrowly wide. So it's a Chelsea corner. Here we go. It's a deep one this time, and it's an easy catch for Pickford. Unchallenged, stretching high, caught the ball.
Do you know when we watch the telly and you sometimes get a real close-up on the free kick coach or the set piece coach when they've scored a goal? Do you never get a close-up to them when they blow it time and time and time again? Which has happened today. I mean, the set piece has been absolutely dreadful.
It'll be more lively, I promise, when Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton take over. At least I hope it is. On 08085 909 693. If you want to join in the conversation with those two on 606. Once we get things finished off here at Goodison. Everton still just 1-0 down. If Everton gets something out of this game, that is a huge result for them. And now here's Patterson on the right-hand side, goes away from Cucurella, but there was cover there from Azpilicueta, and then Cucurella hits it downfield. And
there's someone
I think
the crowd,
there's someone having a problem in the crowd. There is some sort of medical emergency clearly in the crowd. And actually the medical people have sprinted across the pitch, both Everton and Chelsea's. There are other medical people, there are stewards there inside this is the lower tier of the Bullens Road stand. And I think the incident is up towards the back of the stand there. And so we will have a stoppage while this is dealt with. And I know that it is something that the authorities are aware of. And we're actually told that in all of the Premier League grounds, there is actually a dedicated doctor who is assigned to look after spectators who fall ill. So that's what will be happening. That person will have been called to this area. And even though the club's medical staff have gone over there, I think once all of the people inside the ground are on site, I think we will get the match back underway. But obviously the main concern and the first concern is the welfare of whoever has taken ill over there. So we've got a stoppage. Everton 0, Chelsea 1. We've got about 5 minutes of the 90 to play, so about 5-6 minutes to go. So while this is dealt with, let's get another update from Eleanor Oldroyd at the cricket semi-final at the Commonwealth Games.
And we're just about to see the final ball of New Zealand's innings. They're 144 for 6, playing Australia, of course, the tournament favourites here, world champions in 50 over and T20, so going for a clean sweep of every medal still available, and the final wicket has just gone for New Zealand, 144 for 7. They'll finish, so Australia will have to chase 145 to win here. On a beautiful evening in Birmingham, we're watching the flamethrowers throwing flares into the air, but it's a gorgeous blue sky Birmingham day. Of course, the winner of this game will play India in the final tomorrow. That's because England lost to India in this morning's game. England will have to deal with the disappointment of that and raise themselves for a bronze medal playoff tomorrow morning. But it's been great here, John, in the sunshine at Edgbaston. The crowds have flocked in to see women's cricket and thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's probably the two most competitive games of the tournament in this semi-final stage as well. But Australia will chase 145 to win from 120 balls, and they will start that chase in just under 10 minutes time.
Yes, it certainly sounded dramatic when I was listening to Eleanor earlier. So that continues on Sports Extra. We've still got this stoppage here inside Goodison Park for the medical emergency, which is being dealt with over there on the far side. It is very close to the point where the Everton fans and the Chelsea fans meet, but it is being dealt with, and the play now gets back underway. So Everton 0, Chelsea 1, and we will have probably, I would think after that, maybe going on 10 minutes, maybe more, added on at the end of this match. So there's plenty of playing time yet, even though there are almost 88 minutes on the clock. Mykolenko heads it forward for Everton. Gray back to Iwobi. Iwobi out towards the far side. And here's Patterson with the cross, looking for Doucouré, who is inside the penalty area. James did well. Chelsea have now got James and Azpilicueta as two of their central defenders, either side of Thiago Silva. But Chelsea come away down the left-hand side with Breuer. Here's Cucurella on the left-hand side. Cucurella takes it on, down into the full-back position, and in comes the sliding challenge to put it out of play for Chelsea's ball. He's looked very good, hasn't he, when he's come on, Cucurella. It's not a surprise. I mean, he was brilliant last season. But the Chelsea fans who are standing beside over there are very impressed with him already. That liveliness he's shown. It's not been echoed by all his teammates, but it is early in the season. But at the moment, I just get a feeling there is another goal in this game, even though it doesn't necessarily deserve it. Cucurella takes the corner to the near post. It is hooked goalwards, but over the top by Pulisic. He had a lot of players in front of him. He tried to lift it up into the roof of the net, but put it over the bar. So it is a goal kick. He wasn't committed to it, was he, really? You know, he just kind of threw a lazy leg. It was his left foot, maybe not his strongest foot, but he wasn't very, very committed there. When you've come on, you've got half a chance, you're trying to get a place in the team. You've got to have at least work the goalkeeper from those situations. Robbie Savage will be itching to go with 6:06, and when he sees how much added time there is at the end of this match, there'll be a big groan. But what it does mean is that Everton still have time here to snatch something, and that's what it would be. 1-0 Chelsea lead. I see that Graham Scott is just coming forward now, the fourth official, with his board, and the ball is headed forward. Thiago Silva only half cleared it. Doucouré, now Patterson lifts it in. Dele Alli at the back post. It's over the top of Dele Alli, bounces away from Gordon as well, and so back to Vinagre, and now Mykolenko back to Vinagre again, and the debutant on his left foot is with Pulisic, and Pulisic puts in a good challenge actually. No, it was a foul. Pulisic says, I took the ball, but the referee Pawson says, you've got the man. It's a free kick to Everton. A wee bit lucky there, Everton. I mean, the referee's been letting those sort of ones go for most of the game. Get a free kick in a very dangerous area. Still don't know how much extra time there's going to be, but that Chelsea defence looks rocky. No surprises, they've changed so many times during this game. I think Everton players to follow, they'll feel this, they'll know there's at least a half a chance between now and the end of the game. Yeah. Everton 0, Chelsea 1. Sometimes it's looked like an end of season game as opposed to a start of season. I was thinking more pre-season. Yeah, pre-season. 10 minutes of added time, so 10 minutes before 6:06 with Robbie and Chris. Free kick to Everton. Gray plays it in towards the penalty spot. There's a double deflection, and then it's hooked away out towards the left-hand side here, where it rolls out for a throw. Gray takes it. Crowd trying to lift Everton. Gray with the cross. That's headed away by Azpilicueta. Got there ahead of Dele Alli. Wants to take the throw in again. Oh, right, okay. For some obscure reason, which I can't quite follow. Unless he was talking to someone behind the pillar. I don't know what was going on. If in doubt, blame the pillar. Yep. You've been here and done that one before as well. Right, Mikalenko to take this throw. This is going to be a long throw, or at least it's shaping up that way, as long as he can manage. It's flicked on at near post-ish, bounces down on the edge of the box, and Kante just volleys it away to safety. We'll try and bring you the live interviews from Goodison as well. We'll find out the latest on Ben Godfrey after that nasty injury in the first half that forced him off with Frank Lampard and Thomas Tuchel during the course of 606. So listen out for that as well tonight. That will be another feature, the live interviews during the course of 5 Live 606 on a Saturday night. Pickford comes long way out of his goal, sends a left-footed ball forward. That's headed away by Jorginho on the edge of the box. Doucouré 30 yards out, rolls to Dele Alli. Dele Alli now to the right-hand side to Patterson. Comes back centrally. It will be Chelsea now just dropping back. This is as long a period of possession, it feels like, that Everton have had in the whole of the game.
If you had to call one team without scoring just now, you would probably just edge towards Everton. They're getting a lot more of the play. Chelsea are falling back, and there's a negativity about the way Chelsea are playing at this point in time.
Yeah, 1-0 Chelsea lead. Everton go to Aston Villa next weekend. Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa after their defeat today at Bournemouth. Everton played out to the far side, but it was deflected out, and now Thiago Silva's gone down with one presumes cramp.
It's again, it'll be interesting to talk to the managers at the end of this weekend. You know, are the players been asked too much? Are they being brought back quickly and put through a pre-season that hasn't been enough for them to cope? And I think this is weird to see this amount of players going down with these sort of injuries. They can usually cope.
Yep. They've both been to America and back, of course.
Yeah, they can only get themselves to blame for that, let's be fair.
But that never gets a mention, does it? All of the extensive travelling pre-season, which, there was a pandemic, there was money to make. So that's the root of why we see these matches being played, these meaningless matches really being played, just pre-season friendlies. But it never gets mentioned when they talk about the demands on the players. Thiago Silva's okay, play back underway. Cucurella hits this downfield, and then Pickford should deal with that. He allows it to bounce back into his penalty area. We've had 3 minutes of the 10 of added time. Everton 0, Chelsea 1. We'll wrap things up quickly and then get you straight to Robbie and Chris for 606. Join in with them on 08085 909 693. Everton still with the ball inside their own half. They will be. He's been industrious, certainly, in that central area. Now Dele Alli. Patterson. And then back it comes centrally again to Tarkowski. Mikalenko. Gordon's on the left-hand side. Gordon rolls it in, but Jorginho read that like the proverbial book and came across and just whacked it right-footed downfield.
How Frank Lampard would love to have something to bring on, like a Dominic Calvert-Lewin or just another big striker. You know, is there a temptation to ask one of the centre-backs to go up front, maybe? You know, you're a goal down.
Yeah, but it breaks down for Everton, and now Jorginho gives it to Sterling, and Sterling runs away halfway inside the Everton half, but an important sliding interception from Tarkowski with Breuer not far away. Iwobi to Dele Alli, then back to Iwobi. Iwobi curls it into Chelsea territory, and Thiago Silva comes across and gets there with his head, a stooping head, to put it out of play. We're in the 5th minute of added time, so just over 5 minutes to go for Everton to find what would be an unlikely equaliser. Chelsea leading through the Jorginho penalty just before half-time. Chelsea with it, with Pulisic, who went down very easily. Mikalenko put his hands on him, down went Pulisic. It's a free kick nevertheless.
Just looking at Thiago Silva, he's got a lot of back cramp still. Another player, Pulisic's going down injured. I suspect he'll be okay, although he is regularly injured. You know, sometimes things that look really innocent and ends up having to go off. But looking at Thiago Silva, a moment ago, if I was doing an analysis piece, which I might do for the BBC website once or twice again this season, he plays those headers for a number of reasons, right? It's always a pass. It's never a clearance. It's always a pass with his head. On that occasion there, he played it because he did not want to run. So he had to take a chance. And normally he wouldn't take a chance. If I was a player playing against him, I'm thinking, got to get a chance to run him. I used to think of that of players like Alan Hansen. They never give you a chance to run him.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Everton 0, Chelsea 1. Breuer has got away down the right-hand side, but as he played the ball, keeping it in really near the dead ball line, he presented it to Tarkowski, who cleared it. Doucouré, that was a risky touch, but it was cleared by Mikalenko. and then forward it comes. Breuer goes down. There were shouts for handball, but in actual fact, shouts for handball by Breuer, but the referee says the first thing that happened was a foul, a push by Tarkowski, so it's a free kick to Chelsea, and that's exactly what they want with under 5 minutes to go, maybe 4 minutes to go now of added time.
I think Thomas Tuchel will be delighted that he got that free kick there. They were under a lot, well, pressure's maybe pushing it a little bit, but they certainly didn't have the ball up the Everton half of the field for much the last 5 minutes. So quick free kick.
Quick free kick taken to Sterling, but the referee says no, you will have that back again. I had not given the signal for it to be taken, so Reece James has to bring it back to the spot. Wait a few more seconds. Just a one-man wall. Gordon wanders away, so it's a one-man wall for this free kick, which is towards the right-hand side. James comes up, curls it in right-footed. It's headed by Breuer, but it's straight at Pickford, who's able to pluck it out of the air. And Everton now, time running out. They've created really very, very little as they lose possession, but it's out for a throw-in to Everton halfway inside their own half.
Well, that's generally been the problem. I mean, defensively, generally not too bad. They've got plenty of players, even though they've got a few missing already early on this season, but creativity's been limited, and Anthony Gordon, who was such a big player last season, he's actually been very quiet, hasn't he?
He has, as Pickford comes out of the penalty area, has to chest it down, he's lost it. Pulisic has won it back. Pulisic gets to his feet again after Holgate put the challenge in on him, and in fact it was a foul and it's a free kick, and Pulisic says, you could have let me go there. Yellow card for Holgate for that challenge. Again, free kick.
There's been 2 or 3 moments from Pickford in this game, haven't there? You haven't covered himself in glory, has he? He's gone out, he's not been absolutely sure of himself when he's got the ball in those sort of positions, and nearly put himself and his team into trouble a few times.
Final change. This is the 5th substitution for Chelsea, and it's Conor Gallagher coming on his Chelsea return after his successful season at Crystal Palace last season. Got himself into the England squad in contention if he's able to find that best form that he showed in the earlier part of last season.